for the Huskies now at the 7-yard line.
Welcome to Week 6 of the 2017 Prairie Football Conference season and Round 2 in the Battle of Edmonton between the Edmonton Huskies and the Edmonton Wildcats here at Clarke Park in downtown Edmonton. Good evening, football fans. I'm Kevin Donnan with ICU Video as we continue our broadcast coverage of the 2017 PFC season. And the Huskies and Wildcats are back at it again. 2 weeks ago, these two teams met here at Clarke Park, and it was the Huskies coming away with a decisive 33-0 win over the Cats. And we often talk about the history of this rivalry, but tonight it's all about the future. Coming off that win 2 weeks ago, the Huskies are a perfect 4-0 as they sit atop the PFC standings. Meanwhile, the Cats come in looking for a big upset and some respectability. 2 weeks ago, head coach Darcy Park left the field saying, lots of positive, brighter days are ahead. So let's see what the future holds tonight here at Clarke Park in Edmonton for round 2 of the Battle of Edmonton between the Huskies and Wildcats. Let's send things upstairs to Rob Herod and Dave Rozak with the call of tonight's game. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate that. And Rob, we are looking at the #1 ranked team in the country, the Edmonton Huskies. And coming into this game, you got to know that they are a very motivated squad. They want to keep that #1 ranking.
They definitely do, and even being down on the field during warm-up, you can see the confidence that they just carry themselves with, and I think we're going to see that here in the game go throughout the game, and I think the Wildcats are going to have to weather that storm early if they want to stick around in this one.
Speaking of motivation, there's a big motivating factor, too, to come out here and try and beat the #1 team.
Everybody's going to be gunning for them from here on out.
That's
so
right.
It is an opportunity for them, and they're going to have to do a lot of things right. And I think if they can put some things together on offense and their defense, just kind of contain what's going on the other side of the ball, I think they'll have a chance.
Well, I talked to Coach Darcy Park just a couple of days ago, and he was quite happy with the way the defense performed in their game against the Huskies, despite giving up 33 points. The offense is where the consistency is or is lacking, and that's what he wants to work on.
Well, and again, there's some young offensive guys out there, and they're going to need to get that going to help their defense out. I mean, you can rely on your defense for only so long, and then you're going to have to really get your offense going, get them on the field, get some drives put together.
Well, Colton Hippie is going to be the starting quarterback for the Edmonton Wildcats, and Colton is in his last year, and that alone for him has to be a bit of a motivating factor too, since we're talking about motivation and all that. Colton Hippie, of course, has been a backup for most of his career with the Edmonton Wildcats, but he will be starting tonight for the second time this season, and hopefully he'll be able to get some confidence and get that ball in the air where he needs to.
Yeah, and if he comes out with some confidence and starts getting some passes completed early, I think that will help him and go a long ways.
So the Edmonton Huskies are, for all intents and purposes, the visiting team, and they will get to kick off down to about the 10-yard line, taken there by number 81 for the Wildcats, and that is Lucas Howe. Howe tries the outside and is stopped after a run back of close to 20 yards at around the 25-yard line. And this football game is underway, and it's September the 16th. We're only 5 days away from fall, and there's a bit of fall in the air this evening. There's no question about that.
It definitely feels like fall is here. That air is brisk, and the players are going to feel that throughout this game.
We've got a pretty stiff wind coming out of the southeast. Right now it will be favoring the Edmonton Wildcats. Colton Hippie at quarterback. Motion goes left. There's the handoff to Bray Josu. He gets around the outside, and if he gets loose, he fumbles the football and hands it right to the Edmonton Huskies.
I think it's going to be second down. I think he may have stepped out of bounds right before that ball popped loose, and boy, would that have been a hard way to start this game. But you know what? I like what the Wildcats are doing early, and I was going to talk about it before the show. We didn't have enough time. You know, starting with the run game, I think you've got to be able to control it, and I think not just attempting runs, but actually having a little bit of success. And we saw it there early. They came to the run game, and now they're second and short. Very manageable for the Wildcats to try to keep this drive going.
Interesting that in the opening game of this series, Bray Josu was used most to the inside, and this time he takes it to the outside, but then off tackle, and he'll pick up a gain of close to a couple of yards or so, but he should be, well, we'll see where they mark it down, but it's going to be close to a first down. It'll be third and about a yard and a half or so, and right off the top, the Wildcats are going to go for it.
Yeah, and you know what? The Huskies did a great job of getting into the backfield. They did only have a yard to go, and he pretty much got his feet taken out early and then landed short of the first down marker. So this is a big play here.
And a fumble on the snap, and the Huskies are going to recover. And there's that shot in the foot that has happened so often to this Wildcats team.
Yeah, we saw that a few weeks ago on the goal line, fumbling the snap, bad exchanges, and you know that's so critical to have those small things, those small details taken care of early, to not put your defense in a situation that they're in right now.
Well, Cody Olsen was the quarterback on that particular snap, and of course he hasn't taken very many throughout the season, and a mix-up between him and the center, and I guess stuff like that happens.
It does happen, and again, it's about repping those detail and those little things.
Brad Lonhart, starting quarterback for the Huskies, and a handoff and stopped right at the line of scrimmage. A quick one to Jimmy Airy, and Airy was going nowhere.
Great job by the defense to get penetration there. He beat his man one-on-one and met him right in the hole. And you know that's the type of plays that we're going to need to see from the Wildcat defense to try to contain this Husky offense.
The big guy out there, Evan Kochasarli, playing at nose guard, right there to stop Jimmy Airy very quickly. Motion goes to the left. There's play action. Rolling left is Lonhart. He gets the pass away. It is over the head of the intended receiver, Connor Mickle, out of McNally High School.
Well, we saw the good start by the Huskies defense and turning the ball over, and you know what? That was actually a really big play there. Both of those plays for the Wildcats, they're in their own end. They're already in scoring position, and to hold them to really no gain, even losing a yard on the 2 downs, that's a great job by the Wildcats. Just defense giving the offense a little bit more confidence, knowing the defense is going to be there for them tonight. Cole
Sabarin, one of the leading scorers in the PFC, will try the field goal from the 41-yard line. They fumble the snap, and it is knocked down. And the Wildcats will take the football over on their own 42-yard line, as Connor Mickle was unable to handle that snap. And is it nerves? Is it anxiety or what? But both teams making some early mistakes like that.
Well, I think anytime you have a rival game, there's going to be some of those nerves. Both teams are going to be up, and they're going to, you know, the Huskies want to come out and they want to prove they're the #1 team in the country, right? And so that can start to creep into some of the players. So we got to watch for that.
All right, motion goes to the left. Hippie, hands off, fakes it. And the pass is complete along the sidelines. Taken there by number 88, Zach Burgess out of Leduc Comp. And great little play action, and a good pass and a good completion to Burgess.
Well, already you saw the little success in the run early, allowed the play action to work, bought the quarterback a lot of time, found his guy in the flat, caught ball, first down. Here we go.
And great job by Burgess to get to exactly where he needed to get to for the first down. Out of the I formation now, double setback, motion goes left. And this time they hand it off. It is taken there by number 33 for the Wildcats. That is Matt Heinrichs, and Heinrichs tries the left side, but is stopped after a gain of a yard or two.
Quickly by number 27, Brett Vanderkorpen.
Yeah, great job, guy staying home. Then he was able to chase him down, and it's a good thing he did, because there was a lot of empty field to the right side of the offense. That if he got himself going in that direction, he may have still been running.
All right, so it'll be second and a long 9 for the Wildcats. Hippie, play action again. The pass on this side, complete at the 50, up to close to the 50, make that the 46-yard line, and the pass completed to number 13, Kieran Bell, who is back, and they're really looking for big things from this young man.
Yeah, I did a great job of securing the ball, getting upfield on that play. And again, you can almost feel the energy from this side of the Wildcat bench. Just get a little bit more excited. You know, again, they overcome a little bit of a downturn at the beginning of the game and turnover on downs. And now you can feel that energy get back into them. So this is a great drive for the Wildcats.
The tempo, of course, all important in a contest like this. And here's Hippie once again, hands it off. And to this side, nice job of tackling there by number 36, Darian Nitty.
Running back Matt Hendricks for a loss.
Heinrichs once again the ball carrier, and he is thrown for a loss of about 3 yards, so it'll be second
down now coming up,
and about 13.
It's really important, and if you saw probably on that replay that the running back really needed to cut it upfield. The kick-out block happened, and he ended up trying to go around it, and that's what caused the loss of 4 yards.
Motion goes to the right. The pass over the center. It bounces around. It is almost intercepted, but hits the ground. And in there on the play was number 41, Jason Brown from the Huskies, and he very nearly picked it off.
Yeah, interesting play call. It looked like they were trying to set up a little bit of a screen to that side, but the ball ended up traveling quite a bit downfield. Usually a screen is like a short pass where you get it to a running back behind the line of scrimmage with some blockers out in front. On that play, it seemed like it traveled a little farther downfield, and that gave them the potential of an interception. Fortunately for the Wildcats, it ended up landing on the ground, and they're going to be able to punt it away here.
Well, I know one thing for sure. There were a whole lot of sweaters around where the ball was, both blue and white.
I think he was just throwing it into the big pile of mixed jerseys, hoping his guy would come up with it.
All right, we have a whistle on the play, and not exactly sure what's happening down there, but the officials are conferring.
It's timeout. I thought it was actually going to be a video replay, so we're going to have to call in our camera guys to make sure they pull up a few. I think maybe there was holding on the running back downfield. I'm not sure. Video guys, we get no video replay.
Why is it that always that the coaches are always out there in cold weather in shorts? You included. No, not today, though.
No, I'm not today. No, sir. I was out today at my son's baseball game, and it was cool enough. So there's no way I was putting shorts on. I think my shorts may have been put away for the season.
All right, I think we're ready to get play underway once again. Third down and 13 yards to go, so it'll be punting time. And doing the punting honors for the Wildcats again tonight is Matt Zeroni. Zeroni standing at about his 45-yard line. He'll get this one away from about the 50. It's a fake. He takes off to the outside. He's got some room. He's at the 50, over the line of scrimmage and up to about the 35-yard line. He needed to get to the 35 for the first down, and he is there.
I think, unfortunately, although great play call, I think we had holding on the up back, and I think it's going to cost him to come back. You can see in the replay here, it looks like it was maybe number 97 on 42, and I've been known to criticize officials sometimes, but I'm not sure if that was a very much of a holding call. It was a little bit, but I'm not sure it should have been called. But you clearly saw the jersey get pulled out a little bit, so he's going to call it when he sees it like that.
Ryan Lang is our head referee for tonight's game. The umpire is Matt Spetter, the field judge Jesse Webb, back judge Larry Leduc, side judge Gary Tatosky, the head linesman is Mark Buczynski, and the line judge is Romeo Kabongo. So once again, it will be Zeroni, and I don't think there's going to be any fake on this one. Standing way back at his 35-yard line. He's got the wind with him. He gets an end over end. Lands at about the 30-yard line. Ball is bouncing around. It hits a Husky player, and he's able to jump on it. But there will be a flag, and it'll likely be a no yards penalty. I don't think that the player who jumped on it, number 26, was really ready to pick up that football.
No, I don't think he knew where the ball was until it hit him in the leg, and then it was great for him to be aware and jump on that, although there would have been no yards regardless. Good heads-up play, jumping on the ball and securing it.
All right, bouncing ball, so that makes it a 5-yard penalty. They move it up to the 35-yard line, and the Huskies on the offense in their own zone with 9:39 to go in the first quarter. We're scoreless in version 2 of the Battle of Edmonton. There's the handoff left side. Jimmy Airy, he plows ahead for a gain of close to 5 yards, and Airy, with those big powerful legs of his, carried a couple of players with him and finally stopped just over the 40.
We got a flag on the far side. I think one of the Cats' defensive ends jumped just a little bit early on the far side.
So that moves it up ahead a further 5 yards.
5-yard penalty, still first down.
1st and 5.
So with that, now the Huskies first and 5 rather at their 40.
Ball on the 40-yard line. Wind starting to pick up again. Huskies into the wind.
Blowing.
There's the handoff to Airy. He tries the right side this time and goes nowhere. In there to drive him back. Who else but number 21, Jaden Dalkey. And Dalkey, coming into this game, was the leading tackler in the PFC with 41 tackles to his credit.
Well, he's been on the field a lot, and he's making a lot of plays in a lot of space, and that's great. And we've talked before about that secondary and how involved that secondary gets into the run game. And early on here, the Cats are doing a great job of keeping the run game at bay.
All right, there's the handoff left side. taken there by number 2, Connor Mickle, and Mickle is going to be
Connor Mickle, the ball carrier.
past that marker, and he will pick up a gain of about 10 yards or so, so it'll be first down for the Huskies as they try the outside, and he was able to get some room on that left side.
He did, and they did a great job of kind of having that read, so as he came across in front of the quarterback, he had a chance. The quarterback could have kept it or handed it off.
Straight back now, Lonhart, pass complete at the 46-yard line. Taken there by number 6, Tanner Buchanan.
Number 22, Isaiah Brown.
Great job of Buchanan reaching out with his hands and catching it with his hands. It was kind of in close quarters there. Did a good job getting his hands on the ball, securing it, and pulling it in so the defense didn't have a chance to strip the ball out.
Isaiah Brown in on the tackle for the Wildcats. So they're going to measure this one. They mark it down at about the 47-yard line.
It'll be interesting to see how long the Huskies maybe stick with the run game. If the Wildcats continue to stuff them for little to no games, and they're seeing a lot of second downs and not production there, how long will they stick with it? In a game like this where it is getting cooler into the evening, it's going to be harder to throw the ball. The balls are going to get harder, colder, hands are going to get colder. We'll see if they can continue to run the ball effectively and move the ball that way, because it can play into these cold games.
All right, they are short by about the length of the football.
I probably shouldn't call these games cold yet. It's not quite cold. It may be cool, maybe a brisk cool in the air, but I know it's getting a lot colder. So.
You know, when you get the curling equipment out of the garage, it's just about that time, and I did that yesterday. Back in the pocket now, looking downfield. Lonhart is being hurried. He just throws it away. And Darcy Park is down there saying, hey, deliberate grounding, but the officials say no.
Well, I think there's enough guys in the area. They lined up in a double tight end formation. So you're talking 5 linemen plus a tight end. And whether it's a tight end or fullback, they seem to be in that same formation here. Now they're going to pack it in, likely go with a quarterback sneak.
And Lonhart will plow his way ahead for a gain of about 3 or 4 yards. A good surge by that offensive line.
Yeah, we saw them definitely move the pile in a hurry, made it easy on the quarterback. And, interesting call in the second and short. I think it was a good decision by the Huskies to take a shot. Obviously, the ball didn't get downfield, and maybe the receivers had a little miscommunication. It almost looked like somebody was downfield blocking, but maybe trying to take a shot and then get it on third down. Here we are, 1st and 10.
1st and 10 for the Huskies. There's the handoff, right side by Airy. Airy gets around the corner and picks up a gain of close to 10 yards, maybe 12. It is 12, and it'll be a first down again for the Huskies. Their offense is on the move, and they're continuing to run the football.
Yeah, and it's good to see they've tried up the middle a few times, hadn't had a lot of success, but now they're getting to the outside edge, and they've seemed to have success on both runs that went to the outside. They've got first down yardage.
Motion goes left. Play action, looking long. The ball is open and complete. Touchdown! Edmonton Huskies. Zach Desayatnik.
Well, it's a good job of adjusting to the ball in the air, a little bit underthrown and maybe by design, but quarterback put it up there, believed in his guy that he was going to make a play, and the DB was just a little bit out of position and couldn't quite adjust. And again, when you have a team that's on a roll like the Huskies, he's going to have that confidence in his players. He knows those players over the weeks have been making plays for him. So something the Wildcats are going to have to respond to here.
Desayatnik is one of several rookies that Coach Ian McLean has been very happy with as far as their play is concerned. He's out of Holy Rosary Raiders from Lloydminster.
Yeah, and it's you need to rely on those personnel pieces. The Huskies, and it really wasn't very long ago when we were talking about both these teams trying to build that program, and the Huskies have found success. Obviously, you were seeing it on the field this year, but again, part of that is the personnel piece. How many guys are you getting in? What quality of guys? What kind of guys are you looking for? And the guys who are identifying the talent, how's it going to fit into your system and your team? And when you have rookies that can come in out of high school and play at this level right away, that's a huge addition, because obviously that means means you've got some depth, but you're also identifying talent coming out of the high school ranks that is going to help your team win.
And that's where the coaching staff comes in, identifying that talent and doing their best to try and capture them for your team. And there's so much competition for the talent around the central and northern Alberta that these teams really have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and it's so important because, I mean, these coaches have full-time jobs, and they're not out recruiting day in and day out, so it's a tough job for them.
All right, 7-0 in favor of the Edmonton Huskies over the Edmonton Wildcats with 6:47 to go in the first quarter. The ball comes down to the 10-yard line, and it will be taken again by Lucas Howe. Howe finds some room to the outside and runs it back for a gain of about 20 yards or so. And we'll see where they mark it down at around the 32-yard line. So it'll be first down for the Wildcats as they get their offense out on the field.
60-yard kickoff.
Well, let's see if we can get some consistency out of the offense. Again, on the last drive, we did see them move the ball. I mean, obviously the drive stalled a little bit earlier than they would have liked, but let's see if they can get back to a little bit of mix of run, pass, and maybe moving the pocket around.
Well, I know they'd like to get that running game of theirs going desperately. This is Hippie. Hippie, swing pass to the outside and stuffed after a gain of about a yard or so. The quick swing out there to number 29, Braden Chillibeck. Chillibeck playing in basically his first game of the season. He played in the opener down in Calgary, and on the first play from scrimmage was injured, and this is his first game back since then.
Yeah, you can see, I think it's Darian Nadidi, linebacker for the Huskies, did a great job reading that and following that running back out on the swing pass.
Now the swing to this side, and Chillibeck loses the football, and it is recovered by the Huskies. So not an auspicious beginning for Braden Chillibeck, and he comes out of it limping once again.
Interesting that they're trying that swing pass now going to the other side. I think the tackle and fumble recovery was number 33, Vince Schiffner, a former player of mine actually. And interesting that they're trying that, because if you take a look at the defensive formation next time you get a chance, they're in a 3-4 defense, which actually puts two linebackers on the outside edge, outside of kind of the tackles. And when you see that swing pass coming, your responsibility is simply to go and cover that. And so if that pass isn't timed well and the running back's ready, those guys are already coming downhill. And we've seen that on 2 plays by the Huskies defense. They were able to come downhill.
Up a 3rd and 11. The Wildcats at their own 29-yard line.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what the call was on that, but it's going to be 3rd down and about 9, or make that 11 for the Wildcats.
Well, fortunate for them, it looks like maybe his knee was down before the ball came out.
Down by contact, yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, Zeroni takes the snap. Gets a good high spiraling kick. It'll come all the way down to about the 38-yard line, and it's taken there by number 85, Keaton Zachikowski. And Zachikowski, seeing I think his first action of the season, picks that one off and runs it back for a couple of yards, and it'll be first down for the Huskies. Ball just shy of the 40-yard line. So interesting that Coach Ian McLean is putting in a number of youngsters to see what they can do.
Yeah, he's got, I mean, that's what you need to do to develop a program that's going to continue to have success, is your young guys are going to have to play and get that experience.
Zachikowski is out of Paul Kane up in St. Albert. He's a 6-foot, 190-pound rookie. And here's Lonhart now. Shovel pass ahead, taken there by number 22, Brant Burzak. And Burzak gets his first touch of the football in this game, and a gain of about 15 yards. And they move it all the way up over the center field stripe. And it'll be first down for the Huskies.
Had a great job of just changing up the offense a little bit, throwing the shovel pass to slow down the defensive linemen a little bit, who've been getting into the backfield.
Now Burzak with the handoff, left side. Stopped after a gain of about maybe 3 yards on the play, and in there to make the tackle, whereas number 98, Evan Kochesarli, out of his nose guard position.
What a good job of the defense continuing to battle and continuing to try to force second and longer than 5 yards. And they've got the Huskies offense in a 2nd and 7 or so. Good opportunity here for someone to make a play and see if they can get the ball back.
Back in the pocket now. Lonhart, pass complete on the far side to Burzak, and Burzak will pick up a gain of about maybe a yard or two. Not much more than that. They'll mark it at about the 50-yard line, so it'll be 3rd and around 5 for the Huskies. Make that 3rd and 6, actually. And the Wildcat defense holds again.
Yeah, a great job there adjusting to a little bit of motion in the backfield. You saw the running back go out and kind of be that split end guy, and he was the guy who ended up getting the kind of swing pass out there and trying to beat his man one-on-one. Great job by the corner to, basically shed the block, get back up onto his feet, and make the tackle before any first down yardage was gained. And this is the kind of play we're going to need from the defense. Then they're going to have to do it all night.
Yeah.
I know in past we've seen games, they'll play well in the first half and then, they'll have a tough quarter. But if they can maintain this and force the Huskies to earn every point, every yard they're getting, they're going to continue to put their offense in an opportunity where they will get the ball back. They hopefully can get things going.
Very similar situation to what happened last week in the opener of this series, or a couple of weeks ago, actually. The Wildcats defense played very well in the first half, but then the roof kind of fell in on them in the second half. All right, so the defense will hold, and the punt is an end over end down to about the 20-yard line. And it's taken there by number 22 for the Wildcats. That's Isaiah Brown. And Brown, after a little dipsy-doodle, is finally stopped. And he picks up about 5 yards, so it'll be first down for the Wildcats. The ball is going to be marked at around the 25-yard line.
Again, great job securing the ball. Great job on the Huskies cover team. He had a little bit of space once he caught the ball. He really didn't have a lot of places to go, and he kind of was stifled there and ended up just having to get to the sideline to pick up a few.
He made a couple of pretty slick moves, though.
He did, yeah. Trying to find that gap.
Out of the I formation once again. Play action. Hippie is going to be sacked behind the line of scrimmage. And in there to make the tackle was number 27, Brett Vanderkorpet. And the big guy, the third-year man from Harry Ainley, gets another sack. I think that's his third of the season so far. So he's having a great year for the Edmonton Huskies.
Yeah, and as a quarterback, if you're going to go play action, you're going to want to, once you make that fake, you're going to want to kind of get your hips around and get your eyes downfield. Didn't really have a lot of time to set up. And so, again, maybe keeping with that run, making sure the defense knows we will run the ball if that's what you're going to give us.
All right, 4 receivers to the outside. There's the handoff up the middle. It is taken there by number 23. Kiefer Moak, and Moak will pick up a short gain, and it'll be third and time to kick the ball away again for the Wildcats. Kiefer Moak is another one of those players who was injured at the beginning of the season, and he is back for the first time tonight too. So again, a lot of new players coming into the lineup for the Wildcats, especially with the demise, I guess you could say, of Brandon Olson. Their outstanding receiver and running back. He is out for the season with a broken foot. And it's really a shame because this will be his 5th season, his last season in the Prairie Football Conference, and unfortunately he's going to have to sit the rest of it out. There's the kick. It's a high spiraling one down to about the midfield stripe. It's taken once again by Zaechikowski, and Zaechikowski just keeps going and finally is stopped after a run back of about maybe 12 yards on the play. He's a big guy. Wide receiver out of Paul Kane, as I mentioned, 6 foot, 190 pounds, but he looks bigger than that from up here, and there's no question he's got the power.
Yes, he does. He definitely does. Great job of getting some hang time on the punts. A couple weeks ago, we were struggling with the punting game a little bit, and you know what? A great job of getting their cover team time to get downfield and really contain the returners, because again, can be a very dangerous part of the game if we're not containing returners, and they're doing a good job. A little bit of hang time, nice spiral, gets those guys downfield, ready to make a tackle.
And the run back gives the Huskies pretty good field position on the Wildcat 42-yard line, and back in the pocket, pass complete on the far side to number 5, Harrison Cable, but he is taken down heavily right after catching the ball, but he was able to hold on to it.
Yeah, good job. Good, I mean, a sign of a good team executing, and a great job by the Wildcats defense to be there on the spot. And when I talk to DBs and you coach DBs, if there's a pass in the air and you're not going to get to the ball, the next thing you need to do is get to the man right away. If you can get to him quickly before he has a chance to make a move, you'll secure the tackle much easier.
Again, play action, and back in the pocket. The pass is incomplete, and it was intended out there for number 87, Christopher Edmond, a second-year man out of the Queen Elizabeth Knights program here in Edmonton.
Well, interesting formation on offense. They had a quads in kind of a diamond formation with a single receiver backside. Again, I mean, you will typically see different formations, you know, not necessarily that one a lot, but, you know, it's like a four-man bunch formation. I've seen it before. I've seen it at different levels. Again, it really creates mismatch problems for the defense when looking at that. In this case, they went to the under coming from the other side of the field. Fortunately for the Huskies, it was mishandled and dropped, and I think the penalty here is against the Huskies, and that's going to put them in, I think, third down.
Third and about a long 6.
Number 2 on the Huskies. The penalty is declined, third down.
And so the Wildcats will have to kick this one away, or the Huskies rather will have to kick this one away into the wind with 1:10 to go in the first quarter. They lead by a score of 7-0, but so far it's been a pretty good football game.
Well, the Cats are going to have their last chance with the wind here on this drive.
Against the wind. Now it's starting to swirl around. It's coming out of the southeast, and this will be a long field goal attempt from about the 45-yard line. It goes wide and over the goal line and out to about the 2-yard line. The football is taken by number 22, Isaiah Brown. He does what he needs to do, and they'll move the football up to the 20.
Yeah, good job of getting the ball out of the end zone and not giving up any points. Again, they're trying to keep it close. Good job again by the defense.
Yeah.
The Huskies got the ball in great field position on that drive, and for them to hold them to no points and get their offense back out there. Now, the onus is back on the offense, and they've got to get some yardage here and get out of their own end. They can't. I mean, the defense is only going to hold them so far when they're getting the ball inside their own end every time.
Colton Hippie, the starting quarterback for the Wildcats. And he has number 23, Kiefer Moak, in the backfield with him. Handoff right side to Moak, and Moak is piled up immediately on a nice tackle by number 45, Niles Cooper, the linebacker out of Peace River.
So they are continuing to try to work the run game again. I mean, this 3-4 defense that they're playing against, obviously the Huskies are confident that, you know, they can have 3 guys in there causing enough disruption in the backfield. And now they've got 4 great athletes at linebacker just moving around making plays. And so the Wildcats are going to have to spread things out, buy Colton some time so he can throw the ball.
So actually a loss of about a half a yard on the play. Moak, the lone setback. 3 receivers to the far side. Looking downfield, the pass is complete at the 30-yard line. And the Wildcats with a big first down play. The pass complete there to number 81, Lucas Howe.
Yeah, great job. He caught it about 1.5 yards short of the first down markers. He had to make a guy miss, and he did that. He ducked under and dove forward just far enough to get the first down. Great individual effort on the part of Lucas to get that first down, keep the drive alive, and give their offense a little bit more confidence to try to keep this going.
So at the end of the first quarter of play, it is the Edmonton Huskies leading the Edmonton Wildcats by a score of 7-0, and amazing the similarities between these the first game and this game here tonight. And just want to remind you of some of the many sponsors that help to make this football game possible, and the help that they have been giving the Edmonton Wildcats over a number of years now. Dental Choice at dentalchoice.ca, OTR, Kitchen and Drink, the Rough Riders, Flamin Fitness, McElhenney, and the JC Boiler Service Limited. Let's go downstairs. Here is Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Dave. You know, the Edmonton Wildcats have a proud history dating back to 1948, and next weekend is a special alumni celebration for the Wildcats. Friday, September 22nd at Capilano Hall. Make sure you check with the Wildcats for ticket information. They'll be celebrating the 40th anniversary of their 1977 national title team, and that's a special celebration on Friday. And, of course, the next evening right here at Clarke Park, on the 23rd at 7 o'clock, the Wildcats will take on the Hamilton Hurricanes in a special anniversary, if you will, a special anniversary game of that 40th anniversary national title for the Wildcats. So a special and really great weekend coming up for the Edmonton Wildcats next weekend. The big alumni celebration on the 22nd at Capilano Hall, and of course the big game, the interconference game with the Hamilton Hurricanes taking on the Wildcats right here at Clarke Park. 7 o'clock is kickoff. Guys, it's going to be a great weekend next weekend.
No question about that. Looking forward to seeing some of the guys from that team back in the 70s, and even some of the players from the Hamilton Hurricanes who we're hoping will be able to make it out for the game. The Hurricanes are actually going to be in town on Thursday, and they will work out at Commonwealth Stadium. Now, how is that for a big thrill for these youngsters?
Yeah, what a treat that'll be for those guys coming to town and get to see Commonwealth.
All right, Colton Hippie at quarterback. Ball on the 31-yard line. Wildcats stopped behind the line of scrimmage and then taking off with it, but finally nailed is number 23, Kiefer Moak, as the Huskies' our defensive line just surged through the Wildcats' offensive line.
Yeah, another little play action, and again, the decision, you could kind of see it happened a little bit late. Don't know if the running back knew he was getting the ball, and it happened late, so he ended up running in. He had a chance to bounce it out, just couldn't quite get out of the grasp of some of the defensive players chasing him down.
Again, as I mentioned, Kiefer Moak back for the first time all season, and maybe a lack of familiarity with the offense, perhaps. There's the pass, and it is thrown across the field. I'm not sure if that's going to be ruled a lateral or not, but I'll tell you what, Colton Hippie was taken to the ground just as he got the football away, and he was hit hard.
I think it was number 36, Darian Nitty on the Huskies, got in there. It looked like he was untouched and really forced that ball into the ground. Great job by the Wildcat player to get on the ball, because it seemed like the whistle did not go, so it was maybe considered a fumble or definitely a live ball. So good job. It gives them a chance to punt it away. But again, they need to get that offense going, and 3rd and 17 is not a productive offense.
Zeroni will try and punt this one away into the wind for the first time in the football game. He gets a low snap, gets it away. It's a high end-over-end kick, shanks it off the right side of his foot, and it goes out of bounds just over the 35-yard line. And the Huskies once again will have great field position as they put the onus on that Wildcat defense to try and stop them again.
Yeah, it's a big task for this defense, who's been on the field a lot tonight already, and they're going to have to do it once again, starting at their own 37 and defending their end zone.
13:38 to go in the first half. Huskies lead it by a score of 7-0. 3 receivers to the far side of the field. Looking downfield, the pass is into the middle, incomplete, intercepted at the 25-yard line. Taken there by number 21, Jaden Donkey. Donkey still going with it to the 30 and taken down there from behind. Jaden Donkey with a huge interception off the hands of the receiver.
Well, last time they ran that quick slant, they come right back to it. This time they didn't quite get his hands on it, and Donkey was in a great position. And also noticed that Donkey's playing free safety, and they've moved a couple of their secondary guys around from a few weeks ago. And Tony Sawchuk's now on the, it looks like he was playing boundary corner there, so a few different personnel movements. And again, great job by the defense to get the ball back, and in great field position for the Cats offense. Football going off the hands of the receiver, Connor Bergerson. Right into the arms of Jaden Donkey, and the first play from scrimmage. The handoff to the right side taken by number 33, Matt Heinrichs once again. And it'll be a loss of 2. So when does it become time to start passing the football, Coach? Well, I was thinking about that. I'm like, really, you know what? They've kind of been staying really short, and I know you don't want to be throwing it deep all the time either. And as much as I would love to do that as a receiver and an offensive guy, you've got to control it. But they do need to get this defense playing a little bit softer, and if they can threaten them deep, that would help. All right. There's the pass on the play action. It is complete at about the 30-yard line, taken there by number 80, Brandon Rebnord. Rebnord will pick up a gain of about maybe 5 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd and a whole lot of 8 yards at least to go. Well, if you see, again, watching the replay, even on that play action, although the play action pulled one guy, there was still 3 guys getting penetration, forcing him to throw the ball to the underneath guy. And again, if you're trying to stretch the defense, that is not a way you're going to do it. You've got to get protection up front. Those O-linemen have got to give him a little bit more time so he can let the receivers get downfield and take a shot. All right, James Barnsley is out there to try the field goal from around the 37-yard line. They get the ball up. Does it have the length? Yes, it does. No, it's just fell short.
And it's taken at the goal line onto the right side there. Number 7 for the Huskies is O'Shane Samuels. Samuels has all kinds of running room. He sheds tackler after tackler and is finally taken down at about the 45-yard line. Incredible run back by O'Shane Samuels, and that was all him, really.
It was. You know what? The field goal team did a good job of spreading out after the kick. Whether they thought it was through or because it was in the middle, they just didn't get to the sideline fast enough, and he just kind of picked his way through. A little bit of help, and once again, the Wildcat defense is in their own end defending their goal.
That one looked like, well, it definitely was straight enough, but it just fell short, actually landed on the goal line. Here's the handoff left side to Jimmy Airy. Airy fumbles the football, and the Wildcats will take over. Going to be one of those games, is it?
It seems like it is, back and forth, and this time it's number 2, Tony Sawchuk, in there to making the tackle, knocking the ball loose, and the Wildcats on the spot to get it.
Sawchuk is the second leading tackler on the Wildcats with 14 tackles. But when you compare that to Jaden Dalkey's 41, it's pretty amazing exactly how much action that defensive secondary has been getting this whole season.
Well, and Dalkey's doing a great job of getting up into the middle, making that guy. And if he's playing at the free safety position, that's going to help that because they often don't block the free safety in a blocking scheme.
And ironically, it was Tony Sawchuk who has been normally the free safety for most of this season. There's the pass. It is a wobbly one, and it hits the helmet of the defender, number 24 for the Huskies, Gaetano Minto, intended for Jacob Mihalidis.
You know, good break for the Huskies there because he didn't turn around. He didn't know where the ball was. And as the receiver came back, unfortunately, instead of going to get the ball in the air, you can see here he's kind of waiting for it to come down. It just hit the guy right in the helmet. You know, if you compare deep balls, the touchdown that the Huskies just saw, you could see the receiver make the adjustment and catch it up in the air. That case, it didn't happen for the Wildcats, so now they're faced with 2nd and 10.
Bit of a lame duck pass. Hippie again, back in the pocket, and they whistle that one down.
I think it may have taken too long to get the snap off, which is going to put them in a tougher position on the offense, going back 5.
Wildcats number 5. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Time count violation from referee Ryan Lang.
And so the Wildcats will be looking at a 2nd and 15 now from the 35-yard line.
Those are the little things that you've just got to clean up, and so to not put your offense in really difficult positions. This is, I mean, 2nd 15 is a tough thing to convert on any day, and so they're really going to have to come up with something nice here.
From the 35-yard line, the motion goes to this side. Back in the pocket now, swing pass. It is taken at the 35 up to the 40 and still going is number 33 for the Wildcats. Again, Matt Heinrichs. And Heinrichs getting a lot of early action here.
Well, they're still going back to that swing pass, and I'm just not sure if he's just not getting enough time to throw the ball downfield. It seemed like on that play he had the protection and could have looked downfield, but maybe it's just he's not believing in the lineman and he's just dumping it off early. And again, with that 3-4 defense that the Huskies are playing, they've got a linebacker seeing that every time come out. I think they need to get away from that and see if they can get some under stuff and get into the zones in behind some of those linebackers.
I think we're going to have an offside. Looked like one of the Husky players got in there just a little early, O'Shane Samuels, from his linebacker position, or make that from his defensive backfield position.
Procedure, Wildcats number 97, 5-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
All right, that'll teach me.
Yeah, well, they're going the wrong direction nonetheless, so they've got to make sure they eliminate those mistakes. Yeah.
All right, so we'll try this once again. Wildcats having all kinds of problems on their special teams, the punting team especially. Good snap, good kick, spiraling one punt down to about the 40-yard line. Taken there by Zacherkowski once again, and Zacherkowski runs it back about 5 yards. It'll be 1st down for the Huskies. Ball is on their own 45-yard line. Pretty good kick from Zeroni into a pretty fair win right now.
Yeah, nice kick and the hang time, and then Kieran Bell did a great job of getting first man downfield, shed his block, and made a tackle right there to really limit the gain to no yards. And again, first time in a few series that the Wildcats defense is actually not starting in their own end. So that's a positive that they hopefully can build on here and maybe get a stop and a turnover.
All right, in there at quarterback for the Huskies is number 4, Tommy Yanchuk. Yanchuk takes off with it right up the middle. And a huge gain of about 25, make that 29 yards. And the first down, and Tommy Yanchuk, who's, no question, he's got the speed. He likes to run with the football. And Coach Ian McLean giving him a little action in this game.
Well, and they're building off their system, and if you kind of look at their offensive play calling, and if you look at what they've done over the course of this game, they ran basically the exact same play, but they handed it to the sweep guy, and they ended up getting a first down on that play. This time, same action, sweep guy coming underneath the quarterback. Little change of quarterback allows your running quarterback to take off up the middle. Did a great job of hitting the seam, and then all the linebackers had flowed with that play action per se, and that allowing the space in the middle, and obviously he took advantage of it. Now they're into Wildcat territory.
All right, Yanchuk, after some instruction from the bench, is back out there. Another one of those Holy Rosary Raiders players from Lloydminster, and he was really heavily scouted by a lot of teams going into this season, and he decided to sign with the Huskies. And I'm sure Coach Ian McLean is pretty happy about that. There's the snap and the handoff taken by Jimmy Airy. He was stopped behind the line of scrimmage, but just keeps pumping those legs, keeps going. And finally they whistle it down, and we'll see what his forward progress was. But I think he was able to get across the 40-yard line. They mark it at around the 39-yard line.
Yeah, interesting play. It took a little bit of time to develop in the backfield. He did make the first guy miss and try to make a little bit out of it, but definitely not what they were hoping to get. And again, you could see the Wildcats defense coming up big, being in the backfield, being a presence back there and stopping that run game.
Yanchuk sends 2 receivers to this side and takes off with it again up the middle, and this time he is pulled down from behind after a gain of about maybe 4 yards on the play.
Well, going back to the well again that slash action, which the slot back coming across and quarterback up the middle. This time they didn't buy it. Defensive end made a great read, saw the quarterback had the ball and was able to close down in time to limit the gain, and they're going to have to attempt another field goal here.
Riley Thompson making the tackle out of Medicine Hat. And this time we will be going from about the 43-yard line for this field goal attempt.
Looks like he's got a little bit of wind to help this one.
Definitely got the length, and it is through the uprights, and it is a 10-0 football game in favor of the Edmonton Huskies over the Edmonton Wildcats, a 43-yard field goal.
Well, hats off goes to this Wildcat defense. Other than the one big play that gave up the touchdown, you know what? Considering the types of field positions that they've been faced with so far, you know, they've done a really good job to kind of limit the gains of the Huskies offense and force them into a couple field goals, one which was missed, that one was made. But again, being down 10-0 with, you know, really the inability of the offense to get things going here, that's pretty good so far. Now we just got to rely on that offense and see if they can get something going.
7:55 to go in the first half. 10-0 favor of the Huskies. And it looked like there was a mix-up in the backfield once again. I think Colton Hippie thought the running back was going to his right and instead went to his left. And
yeah, number 57, Chase Elwood from the Huskies was on the spot, ready to go. And he read it well, saw the quarterback had it, and Colton just didn't have enough time to get out of his grasp.
So it'll be second, a loss of about 5 yards. So 2nd and 15 from the 30-yard line. Again, handoff left side. This time it'll be taken by number 29, Braden Chillibeck, and Chillibeck tries the outside and picks up a gain of about 5, so he'll get back to around the original line of scrimmage, and the Wildcats will again be forced to kick this one away.
Well, again, you know, the speed of this defense is just keeping the Cats contained. Again, he had the space on the outside. It was the short side of the field, but he had a little bit of room, and it just, all the space just closed down so quickly. They're really just having a tough time gaining those yards.
Matt Zeroni with the punt. And once again, we are going to be called, and this time it'll be a time count violation once again.
Procedure, Wildcats number 96, 5-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Procedure is the call.
Well, the last home game, we spent a lot of time talking about the success of special teams and, you know, the different play calling and the great job they were doing. Boy, today is not the same. Now, if you do notice this formation, you can see that there are two guys behind the punter. And so for some non-football people out there watching the game, those guys are going to be onside. So if they're behind the ball when it is kicked, which it looks like they're going to be, they can actually go down and recover the ball without getting a no yards call. Now it's caught in the hands, and we'll see what happens here.
Zachkowski at the 50 up to the 55-yard line. Gets around one tackler and finally taken down at about the 50 on a nice tackle by number 7, Tanner Holt, out of Bev Facey. So we'll see what the flag is all about. Might have been an illegal block.
And he's brought down on the play by Brayden Chilliback.
Again, great little heads-up play, and back to that punt. Again, when you know you're punting into the wind and there's a decent chance or somewhat of a chance that the ball may not travel far.
Number 3 on the Huskies. 10-yard penalty. First down.
And that's a good call to make, especially, as you say, when you're into the wind.
It is, yeah. And again, you just don't know where that ball's going to travel, and you don't. Again, the wind's kind of picking up and then dying down, and that gives you a chance if the ball does hit the ground. Then you've got some guys in there that can make the play, and they executed that quite well. Just it was caught in the air, and it was actually a pretty decent punt.
So 1st and 10 for the Huskies. There's the pass in the middle, complete down to the 20, and all the way in for the touchdown. Number 5, Harrison Cable, straight up the middle, post pattern, and he was wide open.
You know, there was no free safety in the middle, and we've talked about their guys in the secondary making lots of plays, coming up into the box, a little bit of play action. Receiver gets in behind the secondary, and there's nothing but open space for him to get to the end zone. And when we talk about, you know, establishing the run game, and the Huskies have come up the middle a little bit, had to go to the outside, using that cross action, you see it again on that play. That buys the quarterback time. It also pulls those guys up, and then you get receivers in behind, and so they've got burnt on that one now because they're, again, positive when you're reacting up to the run, but when it's play action and you get caught like that and the ball's delivered on time and on the money, there's nothing he could do. And you could see there in the replay, Tony kind of stepped up and just bought him enough time to get behind Tony, and then it was a race to the end zone. He wasn't able to catch up with him.
So with 6:12 to go in the football game, or in the first half rather, it's a 17-0 football game in favor of the Edmonton Huskies. And you know, you talked about the special teams, and that's really been a problem in this game for the Wildcats, as opposed to 2 weeks ago when they played so well. But it's a 17-0 game, and that's exactly what it was at this point in the football game last week too, or 2 weeks ago.
And you know what? They're going to need to, you know, they're just going to need to make a play.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. They're, you know, whether it's a special teams thing, and the defense has kind of been doing their job, and it's hard to put any of the blame on the defense because they've, considering the field position, to only give up 17 at this point is pretty good. But they definitely need to have a break. They need to make a break. They need to make a catch and a run, something. Maybe it's a return here. We'll see what they have in store.
All right, with the wind, Sabarin gets a good end-over-end kick down to about the 5-yard line. It'll be taken there by Lucas Howe. Howe moves it to the outside, gets upfield, and is finally taken down at about the 25-yard line. So a run back of about 20 yards for Lucas Howe, who's had a pretty good game back there, taking these punts and kicks.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job. And again, they're so close to him getting a break. And you see as this wall develops, they kind of come here to the left-hand side. There's a little bit of a seam there. Unfortunately, you know, he's just a few steps behind, or the blockers are too many steps ahead, and that seam kind of opens up, but then it closes right away, and then he's forced to stretch it to the sideline. And so much of special teams is timing of the block, timing of as you go by, because no one can block a guy for a really long time, so you've got to time it up. In that case, they just missed their opening for a big return.
Hippie, handoff up the middle. Gain of close to a yard or so on the play.
That's number 57, Chase Elwood.
And a little pushing and shoving going on, a little extracurricular.
Well, any rival game will bring out a little bit of extracurricular in any player. You mean regardless of the national rankings, regardless of the place in the division, these rival games will always bring out emotion and passion and just drive to win. And as you watch that replay there, you can see again it was a read. And I think Colton probably should have kept the ball on that because he's reading that defensive end.
All right, this time back in the pocket, looks downfield, and that's another wobbly pass. And I think we're going to have an interference call. And the pass intended out there for number 1, Jacob Mihalidis.
Yeah, and again, nice to see them throwing the ball a little bit downfield. DB arrived too early.
It will be offensive pass interference.
Defensive pass interference.
Defensive pass interference, and
you can see on the replay coming over, he just got there too early.
Huskies number 24, 15-yard penalty, first down.
You can see him come around on that. You saw him come around with his right arm on the arm, really just restricting the receiver from his ability to play the ball without interference, and that's why he got the flag. And it was a good job by the back judge to see that and call it and keep this drive alive for the Wildcats.
Into the final 5 minutes of the first half. There's a snap and a fumble by Colton Hippie, and he is smothered by number 1, Donovan Bergmeyer.
And this defense is giving them different looks. They're moving guys around, and they are bringing heat. They brought a number of guys, and 2 of them met at the quarterback. And any type of small timing mistake, like a little bit of a fumbled snap, although he had it, it's just giving them enough time, and they're just not being able to execute the plays. And once again, we're looking at 2nd and 15.
Bergmeyer, a 4th-year player out of Sherwood Park. Same motion this side. There's a little swing pass out complete there to number 1, Jacob Mihalidis. Mihalidis is up to the 45-yard line, and a pretty good gain of about 10 yards. There is another flag in the backfield.
It looks like there's going to be a roughing penalty on the Huskies, which is going to move them forward even more and maybe continue to keep this drive alive for the Wildcats.
Well, these are the kind of breaks that the Wildcats need. That's a couple now in a row.
Unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer, number 49 on the Huskies. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play, first down.
And those are the things, again, Coach Ian McLean is not going to be happy with his players. You know, the defense did a good job getting the stop, and then a penalty continues. And, you know, fortunately for the Wildcats, those are the things that they are usually accustomed to doing, and now they're getting a little bit back in their favor, which is good for them. They can keep this drive going.
So a total of 25 yards gain on that play. And again, Hippie, little dump pass, incomplete. And it was intended out there for number 13, Kieran Bell. And they just cannot seem to get that timing down right, or whether he's just unable to get the ball into the arms of the receiver over a couple of very tall defensive linemen.
Yeah, pressure is coming so quick. That time it was number 46 and 33 of the Huskies getting in there, just not letting him set up. And again, it looks like they had the blocking out in front of the screenplay. Again, the kind of a middle screen, unable to get it into his hands because of such pressure that the Huskies are bringing.
All right, that 3-4 defense once again, and here they come. There's the pass. It is complete screen pass in the middle, and it's taken there by number 81 for the Wildcats, Lucas Howe, and we're going to have a roughing the passer call as well, and that will move it up another 15 yards.
Yeah, and there's another flag late in the play right on the tackle, so that could add even more yards or take away. We'll see what the call is. There's 2 flags, and I think it's 2 separate penalties. Maybe a horse collar on the Huskies, so they're going to get roughing the passer and a horse collar. It's going to help out this drive for sure.
Plus the gain of about 10 or 12. So
2 fouls on the play. Roughing the passer, number 27 on the defense. Horse collar tackle, number 24 on the defense. 30-yard penalty.
From the end of the play.
Well, there we go. You know what? Again, the Wildcats are finding a way to move the ball. I know it's not necessarily how they drew it up, but because of a great play, they've ran that screen play, trying to slow down the rush, which has been pressuring Colton in the backfield, and now they're getting a couple breaks here. 2 roughing the passer calls. That's 45 yards in penalties. Coach Ian McLean is not going to be happy about that, and let's see if the Wildcats can put a couple plays together and execute and get this ball in the end zone for a touchdown. At this point, if field goals fine, but they really need to score a touchdown right now in the game.
From the 7-yard line, and now in there at quarterback is number 9, Justin Swedish. Out to this side, taken there by number 29, and Braden Chillibeck, and Chillibeck plows ahead for a gain of perhaps a couple yards on the play. We'll see where they mark it at about the 4-yard line, so a gain of 3.
Well, again, going back to that swing pass, and what's interesting is to watch the execution of that swing pass. Colton didn't really look anywhere else. As soon as he got the ball, he turned his eyes to the swing pass and sent it out there. If he can buy a little bit more more time, give him some more space. That will create space for that running back to get to the end zone.
All right, Swedish, the quarterback. Play action, takes the ball himself and is in for the touchdown. Oh, wait a minute. The official finally signals touchdown, and Justin Swedish taking the onus on himself to go out there and do it.
Well, we've got more extracurricular activity. We'll see what that is. But again, you're just leaving, determination there. He was hit probably the 3, maybe the 4-yard line, but he was determined to get into the end zone. And great job, just great individual desire to take on that defender and get to the end zone where he needed to be.
All right, we'll see what the call is going to be here, whether they're going to go for the 2 points. It looks like they will. Swedish is staying out there.
Dead ball foul, objectionable conduct. Number 9 on the Wildcats. 10-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Well, there you go.
Well, something must have been said after the fact, and again, you get that in those rival games. Not an excuse, but not something Coach Darcy Park wants to see out of his young quarterback.
Yeah.
On the kickoff.
And it's hard to come down on those guys because it's such an emotional game. They're hanging around there with the number 1 ranked team in the country. There's going to be that excitement. Again, they've just got to refocus and get ready to go do that again. Penalty aided or not, you know what? They ran some great plays. They had more success. The penalties helped. They're now in the end zone, and now they've closed the gap. Now it's only 10.
Well, as they say, they don't say how, they say how many.
That's exactly right. Just like my golf score. It just keeps adding up.
That's where I heard that before. 17-7 is the score with 2:37 to go in the first half. The Huskies lead the Wildcats. And, boy, I'll tell you, that's got to be a big boost for the Wildcats. They were unable to score last time. 2 weeks ago against this Husky team, and this week they come up with their first touchdown.
Well, and it's nice to see that they're doing it by, kind of by committee. There's a little bit of run game, a little bit of screen game, a little bit of size stuff. Quarterbacks are running. I mean, the Wildcats are in a position where everyone needs to do their job, needs to execute, and we saw the result on that drive.
James Barnsley to kick off for the Wildcats. Short end over end down to about the 35-yard line. It's taken there by number 1, Donovan Bergmeyer, and Bergmeyer crashes his way forward for a run back of about 5 yards on the play, and it'll be first down for the Huskies, and the ball will be in their own end of the field at about the 48-yard line, and they haven't had to start very often from their side of the center field stripe.
No, great job by the kicking team. Again, good coverage, good tackling to limit the gain. Again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. We saw a little bit of kind of moonshot type. And again, when you're kicking into the wind, another possibility to maybe give yourself a chance to get the ball back. And now turn it back over to the defense to see if they can hold them out of the end zone before the half.
Play action, back in the pocket, looking deep. He has a man open, incomplete, intended out there for number 87, Christopher Edmond, and it was just over the outstretched arms of the Queenie Knights wide receiver.
Yeah, tall guy racing down the field was once again in behind coverage, and so maybe the Huskies are seeing some of the aggressive play here, and you can see the free safety come over, and he gets caught right from the wideout. There's nobody deep there, and again, in stride, he's probably scoring a touchdown. So the Wildcats secondary are going to have to be aware that they're willing to stretch the field, and that's what they're doing here, is they're stretching the field and threatening them deep.
Dalkey is the free safety, rolling out now and down into the middle area. This time a pass complete at the 45-yard line to number 2, Connor Mickle. And obviously someone down there must have heard you, because they backed up and there was a little soft area in between.
Well, they went for a cover 2 coverage. And so when we talk about cover 2, there's 2 deep guys, and then there's typically man or zone underneath. In that case, the middle was left wide open in the cover 2.
And again, the play action pass complete. And it is out there to number 9, Connor Bergerson. There is a flag, and it will be a holding call, and it will go against the Huskies.
Well, that's great for the Wildcats. Again, just, trying to maintain some of the momentum their offense gave them by getting that touchdown in there. Let's see if the defense...
Number 52, 10-yard penalty, Still first down.
That defense, you know, they can't stop being aggressive. You know, they've got burnt one over the top once, almost a second time. You can't let them stop. You can't stop being aggressive. But their safeties need to make sure they're disciplined. You know what I mean? He can throw the ball deep and is accurate throwing the ball deep. So you got to make sure you don't give up too much with that aggression on the run.
Lonhart at quarterback, out of the shotgun. Looking downfield, pass, it is almost picked off. Intended out there for number 9 again, Connor Bergeson. And I'll tell you what, it was just in and out of the hands of Matt Zeroni. And if he catches that one, it's a six all the way.
Yeah, Matt did a great job of coming down quickly. Obviously had a chance to play the ball, did so. I mean, it ended up being a knockdown. But again, those are the types of plays they're going to need to make and execute if they want to get a winning streak going, if they want to start to see that success come on the field.
Out of that four-man formation, rolling back in the pocket and getting it away, but taken down from behind was number 22, Brant Berzik. And this Wildcat defense has just been outstanding in this series.
Yeah, I think that tackle was Jack Jones taking number 22 down, and he did a great job. Again, it took a long time to develop that screen. He was looking downfield, came back to the screen on the left side, and he had to fight a really big guy there. He's waiting. He saw it coming, and it was really, I mean, it probably should have been holding on top of that, but great defensive individual effort to make that play and force a punt and give the Cats offense 2 minutes to move the ball and maybe get a few more points on the board here.
Is this a fake? Yes, it
looks
will
like
be.
It is.
Savarin is taking off with the football. He's across the midfield stripe to the 50, and he will be short of the original line of scrimmage and short of the first down. So the Wildcats will have good field position, and they needed a first down. So they're probably what, third and about 20?
That was at least 20. Interesting call. Not sure if it was called from the sideline or maybe the punter has the green light to do that. That was a lot. I mean, he came up 15 yards short on that. So I'm not sure if they have a run punt in this league, but that's usually what I tell my punters to do is take off and run, and if it's not going to make it, then kick it late. Give yourself a chance to cover.
That's something that Zeroni is famous for, that run punt. Here's the pass. It is complete at the midfield stripe. A nice pass by Justin Swedish, taken there by number 80, Brandon Rebnord. And Rebnord will pick up a gain of about 7 yards in the play, so we'll call it 2nd and 3. And that was a good, nice, tight pass.
You know what? Tight pass and great catch. You know, not the tallest of receivers, but he needed every inch of his arm to reel that in. Great job of concentrating, pulling it in during the contact, and giving him a second and very manageable distance here.
2nd and about 3. Ball on the 49-yard line. There's the pass. It is incomplete. Out of the outstretched arms of, once again, the same receiver, number 80, Brandon Rebnord.
Yeah, that time they're just trying to hit the seam, and it's a tough ball because you want to throw it after the linebackers but before the free safety, and he almost snuck it in there. And again, that can sometimes be a dangerous pass for a receiver down the middle, down the seam with the safety over top. Fortunately, no one got hit on that play, and unfortunately for the Cats, they're going to have to punt because they just missed them.
All right, Zeroni with the punt. Gets another spiraling kick, a high one. It'll bounce right into the hands of the receiver, number 22, Isaiah Brown. And Brown decides to take the middle route and runs it back about 10 yards or so to around the 35-yard line. Or make that number 22, Brant Berzik.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good call on that. Get the right 22 out there. Again, taking time off the clock's not a bad thing by their offense. They didn't really take a lot off, I guess less than a minute of the 2 minutes left. Now we need to make sure our secondary here of the Wildcats does not let anybody get in behind them. That's going to be critical at this point in time. You know, they can probably milk the last minute out and go in just down 10. We're going to need some pressure up front, and we're going to make sure that secondary is disciplined.
From the 34-yard line, back in the pocket and looking deep once again. The pass is incomplete. and into double coverage. Unable to hang on was number 2, Connor Mickle. And again, that one could easily have been picked off.
Yeah, it was close. Dalkey was in a great position to be there. And again, if he wasn't there, it was likely going to be a catch, but he was there on time. And that's the type of play you want to see from your free safety. If you want to throw balls down the seam, I'm going to be here waiting. And maybe next time he does that, if there's a little more time, he's going to get his hands on that one.
2 receivers to this side. Motion goes left. Back in the pocket. Swing pass this side. Complete to Burzik. Burzik at the 40 and still going to around the 44-yard line. And it looks like he's going to have just enough for the first down. We'll see where they mark it. I think he needed to get to the 45, and they mark it just shy of the 44.
He's going to be short, maybe by a yard, maybe half a yard.
We'll bring up a 3rd and short situation now from the...
Short enough that Coach McLean may be going for it on this one to keep the drive alive and not give the ball back to the Wildcats with 55 seconds left.
All right, he brings the Elephants out.
So here we go, extra tight end on either side, couple guys in motion, likely quarterback sneak.
Now, there's the handoff rather to the outside, and taking it was number 2, Connor Mickle.
Yeah, good job.
Kind of a little bit of a sweep.
A little bit of a sweep again. If they're going to pack in the middle and you're going to go away from that quarterback sneak, great way. But good job by the running back. You can see he wasn't going to get to the edge because looks like Tony Solchak on the far side closed the edge down. Good job by him. He did cut it up and did get his first down, which was his responsibility.
All right, looking downfield again. Lonhart pass. This time it is complete just over the 50-yard line. And a nice job of holding on to that one by number 9, Connor Bergeson. And again, there's going to be a flag, and this one came after the play.
Yeah, not sure if one of the Wildcats guys, as he came in late, whether it was the hit or whether he was ripping at the ball, and you could kind of see the ball pop out. So it should be likely one of the 2 of those actions.
Unnecessary roughness, piling on, number 21 on the Wildcats. 15-yard penalty from the end of the play, first down.
That's one that you don't hear called very often, piling on.
No, you don't see it very often. Again, that's a little bit undisciplined. When the guy's clearly on the ground, you got to avoid those because you just put them almost into field goal range here.
From the 33-yard line, again, looking downfield, a pass complete on the sidelines to Bergeson. And Bergeson runs it out of bounds after a pickup of close to 12 yards. And it'll be first down for the Huskies as they move the sticks to just this side of the 20-yard line.
Nice little play design there, and nice job of the receiver catching the ball, getting the first.
Timeout, charged Wildcats.
And getting the first down and getting out of bounds.
So the Wildcats will call the timeout with 25.2 seconds, and that's impressive. That play ran, 4 seconds maybe?
Didn't take very long, and they're threatening, and the Huskies are thinking, see if they can get a couple shots into the end zone. You mean with 25 seconds left, if you were really quick, you could get 5 plays off, probably 4 more plays. So again, if they can generate a mid-range pass, get a first down, and then take a shot or 2 at the end zone. If not, they're going to have to settle for a field goal attempt. And we'll see. Obviously, the Wildcats are working against that and hopefully not going to give up the touchdown here and be disciplined in the secondary because it looks like most of the damage is getting done in the air. And we talked about that earlier. How long will they stay with a run game? They are mixing it in. Their play action is being effective, and that's how they're getting guys open deep.
All right, the ball is centered at the 20-yard line. It's first down for the Huskies. 25.2 seconds to go in the first half. Don't forget to stay with us for our halftime show. Kevin Donnan will be talking to the coaches and to the Director of Communications for the Prairie Football Conference, Ryan Waters, who's visiting us from the Okanagan. I'll bet you he wishes he was there right now. There's the pass. It is complete on the far side, and a great grab by Harrison Cable. And a great job by Brad Lonhart to get it away just as he was being hit.
He did, and if you watch, if we get to see the replay here, you can see his play action. He really stared down the running back. He gave the running back a chance to look like he had the ball, bought himself the time. He was looking for a corner route, but the secondary did a good job covering and had to go for underneath.
Second and short, looking into the end zone. The ball is up. It is incomplete. and intended on the far side for number 85, Zajakowski.
And Isaiah Brown on the coverage doing a good job staying on the hip of the receiver and making sure, there's the replay on the under. He was looking for that corner route, but again, they shut it down. Did a good job of getting it off. Great job by the defense right there. Just couldn't quite get the ball knocked down and gave him the first down. And so now they're looking at third and really short here, and looks like they're going for a field goal with 2.7 seconds left.
2.7 seconds. So it'll be an 18-yard field goal with the wind. The ball is up. It is out. It is through, and it is a three-pointer. And with 0.3 seconds to go in the first half, it is a 20-7 football game in favor of the Edmonton Huskies.
20-7 the score in favor of the Huskies.
Yeah, 17-10. That was great for the Wildcats to snag an extra 3 points. Stole them right under the nose of the Huskies.
The Wildcats do a good job of holding on, and defensively they've actually played very, very well tonight.
They have, yeah, and they're going to likely just kill the clock here and go into the half.
And that will be the end of the first half of football, and a pretty entertaining first half as well, with the Wildcats trailing the Edmonton Huskies by a score of 20-7. And as I mentioned, we'll have a chat with a couple of the coaches, and as well Ryan Waters coming up in our first half intermission. And let's go down right now, in fact, to Kevin Donnan, and he is with Darcy Park.
Thanks a lot, Dave. I am with head coach Darcy Park. Once again, you're in this one. I mean, you're up against the best team in the PFC. Your defense is playing outstanding.
Yeah, no, we had chances. Again, we're inside their territory again. Miss a field goal. Ultimately, we had 2 big plays against us for touchdowns, but yeah, they've done a great job.
Now, they've really brought pressure on Colton and on Justin. What are you going to have to do in terms of a halftime adjustment to adjust to that Husky defense?
Well, I think, again, we have to make sure that our quarterbacks understand that they're going to have to make that read on the end and keep the ball, and force them to adjust to them on the edge. And right now, no one's accounting for them because they haven't proven that they'll take the ball and run for a first down. So, I mean, if we're not going to do that, I believe there's opportunities for us in the passing game still, but it's going to sound like a broken record. We got to get that run going.
But it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. There's been big plays. There's been turnovers, and the Wildcats are still in this thing.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I mean, this is whatever, a 20-point game or 13-point game on my math. Sorry, McNally High School. But we're going to come out. We're going to continue to work hard and take advantage of the opportunities we got. We got enough opportunities to be in the lead at that first half. We just have to make sure we finish in the second.
And going in the second, Justin or Colton heading into the second half in terms of quarterback?
I think Justin proved that he can continue to carry the load.
All right, good luck the rest of the way. That was head coach Darcy Park, and let's send things back up to Dave and Rob for a further look at the first half stats. Guys?
All right, thanks a lot, Kevin. And, the one thing that has really impressed Darcy Park going into this football game, and in fact, for the last couple of weeks, has been the attitude of his players. And, I mentioned to you as they came out that they didn't really look like they were ready for this football game, but I take that back, especially defensively. They have played really well.
Well, it's been an up and down game. You mean right from the get-go, there was a turnover on downs, and there was a botched field goal that gave momentum back, and it really has kind of gone back and forth. And the Cats have done a pretty good job. They have given up a couple touchdowns, as Coach Park said, on long plays with single plays, but other than that, they've been holding them, and I think that's helped the team keep the excitement up, keep the momentum, realizing, hey, you know what, we're in it with these guys. We just got to execute a little bit better on offense, and we saw them do that later in the half.
They need to get the passing game going. It was clear watching it from up here that Colton Hippie just does not have the confidence in his own arm to be able to get this team rolling with the pass.
Yeah, and just the execution of the offense is going to be critical. And you heard Coach Park talk about that reading the edge guy, and we saw him. He just kept collapsing down when you have 2-3 guys on a tackler. A running back can't make that many guys miss, so the quarterback has to be a viable threat to pull the ball. And we've actually seen the Huskies do that quite well off of play action, where the quarterback then buys himself time. And so if he can make that read a little bit better, a little bit quicker on the defensive end, he's going to have the open space. And there's a few times he definitely would have had space to run.
Well, we know that Justin Swedish has got a rifle of an arm. He showed that a couple of times into the wind in this second quarter. So hopefully in the first half or second half he will be able to get things going as well. But right now we are going to go downstairs once again, and here's Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Dave. I am joining me at the half is Ryan Waters, the Director of Communications for the Canadian Junior Football League. First of all, welcome to Edmonton. You're from Kelowna. You were saying you could have brought an extra coat out here. This isn't summer weather anymore.
That's right. I'm just thankful I brought my jeans.
There you go. Now, Ryan, give us a bit of a state of the league. Obviously, football still is incredibly popular in Canada. We've got a good crowd tonight. Give us a bit of the state of the league in terms of coast to coast.
It's been fun watching Ontario come back into this league. We knew the Prairies would be strong, obviously, and it's nice to see the Wildcats, or the Huskies, pardon me, at 4-0 and here leading at halftime, and the Wildcats playing well. It's nice to see the parity. And we look across Ontario with Hamilton and Windsor, and London has been in the mix as well. And over in BC with Okanagan and West Shore, and VI had a great game at Okanagan last week to tie that ball team. So it's been fun to watch the parity across the league. There have been some scores that have been a little lopsided, but it's the different teams that are producing those lopsided victories. So it's been fun to watch. The talent is there. There's no question about that. And some of the coaches around the league are really strong, and two of them are here tonight. But it's been really fun to watch.
Now, in terms of awareness and growing the sport and getting more attention to junior football, I mean, tell us a little bit about, say, ICU video, what we're trying to do in terms of broadcasting, in terms of growing the game and building awareness. Streaming and the internet, that is really, truly the future for junior football.
Oh, it absolutely is. And when you look at social media, the reach that social media has, I mean, everybody knows it's not new anymore. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But certainly the broadcast that you have here in Edmonton is fantastic. There is the TV station in Hamilton, and then the streaming in BC has been very strong as well. So it's been great because it's good for the fans. You know, if you can't make it out to a game, and with the interconference games, Regina is on the road in Hamilton, and of course Hamilton comes here next week to see the Wildcats. Those fans, those mom and dads, can't always make it. So when you have a strong stream across the league and across the internet, it grows the game a little bit better as well, because you get an opportunity to see some of the kids that you haven't seen before, the teams you haven't seen before.
Now, one final question about the interconference. That was a new initiative for Canadian junior football, and it's really taken off, hasn't it? There's been a lot of excitement about the interconference schedule and the games.
There really has, and there's more games this season than there was last season, the birth of it. And to see Hamilton come in here next week is going to be fun. And we have seen some really competitive games for sure. And when you look at the final score, maybe they don't tell the whole story. But with Ontario and the Prairies predominantly in these games, it's been fun to watch, where Ontario just coming back in the league saying, oh wow, this is the level that we have to get up.
There's some excitement out here.
There really is, and Hamilton's very excited to come here to face the Wildcats.
Well, and we were very excited to have you join. This is Ryan Waters, the Director of Communications for Canadian Junior Football and the CJFL, and we're very happy that he was able to join us. And let's send things back upstairs to Dave and Rob as we get ready for an exciting second half here at Clarke Park.
You can bet on that, Kevin. There's no question about it. It's going to be an exciting second half, only because I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what Justin Swedish can do. And we kind of talked about that before we went downstairs to Kevin. Swedish, as I say, he's got that rifle for an arm.
Well, and he's a developing quarterback. He's a young guy who's learning, and again, he's got the tools. And again, every time he steps on the field, he's going to be learning something. You know, we've seen, a few weeks ago in the home opener, we saw him. He made some mistakes, but he also was productive. And so again, with a young quarterback, you're going to have mistakes. But again, that's part of that learning curve. And we know the Cats are trying to build something, and he may be the guy of the future. And so you know what? It's going to be great in the second half to see what he can do. He brings a little bit of confidence. The energy is still high with the Cats. I don't think they've lost that, which I think is important, because if at this point they would have lost that energy, it could get really ugly in a hurry. But I think that energy is still there, and I think although they gave up the field goal, I think that's a small victory for them to hold them out of the end zone in the red zone. And now they're in position where, hey, let's get out, let's make a couple plays, and we can keep this game close. And then if it's close, you never know what can happen in the end. And the offense gets the touchdown, and you could see when the defense got out for the next series that they were hyped up for it. Yeah, it complements each other. And if we can mix in a little bit of special teams play, and we know they have the ability to do some great things, and if they can get all three facets working together and kind of that's how you develop a #1 ranked team in the country, right? That's what the Huskies have done over the years, and that's what the Cats are going to try to do as well. And it starts with some tough games and some tough losses. But we're starting to see some of those pieces come together. Let's see if they can sustain that for the second half.
Well, you look at the score, it's a 2-score football game, basically, when you get right down to it. Offensively, the Huskies with 269 total yards to just 65 for the Wildcats. And that's a huge difference, and it all comes down to one thing. The Wildcats need to get the passing game going.
They do. They need to stretch the field, and we kind of talked about it on the Cats defensive side, how they're creeping up. And the Huskies will do that. If you don't throw the ball deep, you're not threatening that you will do that. And so they're going to come up and they're going to make plays. They're going to force you to take 4 yards and 5 yards and 6 yards, and you're going to have to complete every pass. Any drop will stop a drive. And so they're going to do that on defense. And so if they can stretch the field a little bit, I mean, they've got the arm now at quarterback playing in the second half, at least for the time being, that can stretch the field. So we're going to have to see if that O-line can buy him a little bit of time, see if the offensive coordinator can move the pocket around, a little bit of play action to give him the time, because we know he can get the ball downfield and accurately.
Well, the Wildcats only threw the ball 14 times, but they completed 9 of those passes. So that's pretty much a 65% average. That's not bad.
They're efficient, but if they can keep that efficiency up with a little bit of downfield action, you're going to see a lot more yards go along with those completions.
Looking at some of the individual statistics, rushing-wise, Jacob Mihalidis, when you look at the list of running backs for the Wildcats, it's amazing that they are just that far behind. They just cannot get the one guy going for them all in the football game.
Yeah, and you know what? For both teams, they've got to continue to do that. You heard Coach Park, and I'm sure Coach McLean's thinking the same thing. You can't just abandon that run game, and we talked about it at the beginning. You can't do that, and in games like this, it becomes important. But again, at the same time, you can't just run the ball. I mean, it's hard to do that because it takes so long. Any mistake causes you to stop a drive. And so, again, having that balanced attack, we've seen the Huskies do it, and I think the Wildcats are capable. Now they're going to have to go out and execute. And again, a lot is going to hinge on that O-line. I think right now, looking at the Wildcats offense and the Huskies defense, the defensive line and the linebackers for the Huskies are causing a lot of trouble for the Wildcats.
Do you think that maybe the consistency of having one or two running backs in the backfield taking the ball most of the time would probably be a big help instead of having, half a dozen?
I think it definitely will be. I mean, mostly because who's taking all the reps in practice all week? Who's getting all those reps? And if they're all getting reps, we talked about that with 2 quarterbacks a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's less reps for each, and so we've seen a couple exchange problems. We've seen a couple miscues in the backfield, and unfortunately for the Wildcats tonight, those miscues have usually resulted in -5 or 6 yards, which is putting them in second and long for the whole first half.
Well, I guess in this case and in the case last couple of weeks ago, it all comes down to experience at the quarterbacking position, and Brad Lonhart has so much experience.
He does, and you know what? He's playing up to the level I'm sure his coaches expected of him. And you know what? The supporting cast around him is doing their job. They're making catches, they're making plays, and you can see the confidence level that everybody on that team has, doing as well as they are. I mean, there's always the risk of coming out flat and dropping an emotional game to your crosstown rival. They've come out in the first half, and they've done a good job. The Cats are hanging around, and the Huskies in the back of their mind, if they can't get a score here early, it's going to creep into their mind a little bit more in this undefeated season talk, and I'm not sure if it's out there yet, but you know what? The reality is it's probably in their minds is like, we're going to make a run.
All right, and let's take a run downstairs, and once again, here's Kevin Dunnan.
Thanks a lot, Dave. I'm with Ian McLean, head coach of the Edmonton Huskies. Give us a bit of an overview of what your game plan is going into this second half.
We can't beat ourselves. We can't take those penalties. We gave them a touchdown on penalties alone. We have missed opportunities. It's not we're playing badly. We're just not capitalizing and playing to the level of our abilities, and that's what has to get better.
And you don't want these guys hanging around either. I mean, in a rivalry game like this, we've seen big plays and turnovers in the first half. You don't want these guys hanging around.
But we just can't beat ourselves. I mean, I told you guys, I don't care who we play. It doesn't enter my mind, really. We got to go focus on making sure that we're taking care of our jobs. working with the guys we have on the field. So these guys just need to play within themselves and not think that we're bigger than we are, and just take it play by play.
Halfway through the second quarter, you made a switch at quarterback. Are you going to go back to a bit of a rotation, or what are your plans at quarterback for the second half?
Oh, we've been doing that all year. We want to give Tommy some touches, and it gives Brad a chance to see the field. So, I mean, that's something that's happened every single game. Tommy's gotten meaningful snaps every single game, so that's something that's going to happen all year long.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, and good luck the rest of the way. That was head coach Ian McLean of the Edmonton Huskies, who admittedly probably came out of the locker room a little bit nervous. He's a little bit worried about his team right now, and he wants them to take care of business going into this second half. Guys, back up to you.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Appreciate that. And one thing we did talk about when I was talking with Ian a couple of days ago was making sure that this club did not look ahead or look beyond the Edmonton Wildcats, because they've got some huge games coming up against the likes of Regina and Winnipeg and Saskatoon. And you know that Regina and Saskatoon are the powerhouses of this league. He wanted to make sure that they did not look beyond the Edmonton Wildcats. And so far it looks like he's succeeded in that.
Yeah, and you never want to do that with your players. You never want to have them thinking about anything other than the task at hand. And you know, like the Cats are struggling this year, but again, at any point in time, if they put things together, they could beat you. And so you've got to be disciplined. You've got to come in keeping your guys focused, and it's always that next step. And he's going to do that. He's going to preach that all year long, right to the end, however long that goes for them. He's going to keep them focused on the task at hand. And, you know, the Cats are going to come out. They're going to be emotional. They're going to try to make a play early. And we'll see how that changes the momentum of this one.
Another thing he told me too is that the players, he doesn't want them focusing on being quote unquote the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, you know what? Ian can't control that. The players can't control their ranking. All they can control is their job on the next play. And you heard Ian refer to that in that interview, that it's like, you know what, it's about the next play. Good or bad, whatever the result is, whatever the rankings happen to be next week, they need to go out and they need to execute the next play. And that's common from many coaches, all coaches. You know what, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have successes, you're going to score touchdowns, you're going to give up touchdowns, but you've still got to refocus. And the great teams are able to do that all the time with consistency.
Well, as he says, it took a lot of work to get here. It's going to take a lot more work to get where they want to be.
Yeah, and it's definitely not done. And they know they've got, Ian knows if they can show the execution tonight throughout the game, that's going to carry over. They're going to learn from it, and they're going to move on for next year. And so the Huskies are really going to have to find a way to stymie that momentum that they've built this year.
You know, and the other thing too is, and we haven't really mentioned it in the procast, is the fact that a win tonight and they clinch a playoff berth.
Yeah, and that's a great position to be in, you know. And again, they've probably talked about the importance of each and every game, whether it's here in Edmonton or whether they're on the road. They need to compile those wins, put them in the best position going into the playoffs when the new season begins.
All right, here's the kickoff to get the second half underway. The Wildcats kicking off to the Huskies. Ball is taken there at the 25-yard line by Jimmy Airy. Has some room up the middle. Couple of flags are thrown. Airy is at the 40, still going to the 30. And he will go all the way for the touchdown.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Huskies, there's a couple flags. That usually doesn't bode well for the return team.
Back at the 25, a couple of flags, and so we'll have to wait and see what the call is. But it looks like it's going to come back. You're right.
Yeah, I think they got 2 of them.
Impressed with the speed of Jimmy Airy that time.
Yeah,
wow.
He outran a few guys, did a good job of hitting the seams. You know, the blockers did a good job of creating that seam in the middle.
Legal block, number 41 on the Huskies. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Illegal block on the Huskies. They'll move the football all the way back to about the 20-yard line. So that is another break for the Wildcats, and one that they need to capitalize on, as we've said so many times.
Well, and on cue after Coach Ian McLean discussed them not beating themselves, they go out and take points right off the board on the first play. So great opportunity for the Wildcats to pin them deep.
All right, here's the snap and the handoff. Up the middle once again, it is Jimmy Airy. And Airy still has the energy to make that Brant Berzik number 22 as opposed to 32. And Berzik picks up a gain of about 11, so it'll be a first down for the Huskies.
Again, O-line doing a good job of creating space for the running back, getting into the second level.
All right, Burzak is the lone setback. Here's the pass out into the flats. Taken there by number 6 for the Huskies, Tanner Buchanan. And Buchanan is run out of bounds after a gain of, about 5 yards on the play.
Good job of Brady Kerr getting there to the sideline, making the tackle to limit the gain and force the second down.
Ball on the 36. Rolling to the outside is Lonhart. Lonhart's pass in and out of the hands of the receiver. And boy, I'll tell you what, that was number 9 for the Huskies, Connor Bergerson. He was looking to go downfield before he had the ball.
Yeah, he was. He had a lot of time. He was going to try to make a break back into the middle. Took his eyes off the ball, and you can see it just went off his hands. And haven't seen a lot of drop balls tonight by either team. But there's one, and that's going to get the ball back in the hands of the Wildcat offense.
Well, the temperature's steadily dropping, and that could be a factor too. Here's the punt. A dropped football, but he's able to get it away, and it will bounce to the 40-yard line, and taken there by number 22, Isaiah Brown, and Brown is run out of bounds after a short run back.
Yeah, good, decent field position. Again, the bobbled snap didn't get a good kickoff. There is a flag on the field. We'll see how that impacts field position.
And again, a bobbled football on that snap.
During the return, illegal block, number 72 on the Wildcats. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the Wildcats take an illegal block, and that will force the football back to about the 30-yard line, and it'll be first down for the Wildcats from that point with 13:21 left in the third quarter. And we get another look at Justin Swedish at quarterback for the Wildcats. Single setback. 2 receivers on both sides rolling out. There's the pass complete at the 35-yard line up to about the 38. Ball taken there by number 88, Zach Burgess. And again, it looks like Swedish is content to try that quick little swing pass or little out pass to his wide receivers.
Yeah, you know, the positive about that play, a couple things happened. He had one. First of all, he had time to look around. He had a little bit of time. And then the second piece is execution of that play. And he just had a little more zip on the ball, a little more arm strength to give the receiver time to turn upfield. And that's the difference between 2nd and 1 and 2nd and 3.
Motion goes to this side, over center. There's the handoff, right side, and stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Great job of tackling in there by number 49 for the Huskies. That is Bryce Lee from Ardrossan. And again,
we do have another flag coming from the far side of the field. Not sure what this is going to be and how it's going to impact the play.
So all of a sudden, there's all kinds of orange.
Third down.
No flag on the play. Guess the wind must have blown it out of his pocket or something. I don't know.
And I wasn't sure. Maybe it's just a quick reflex he's developed over the course of the season that just keeps coming out. Well, interesting call, 3rd and 1. It doesn't look like they're going to go for it here, and they've got the punter out on the field.
And that's number 15, Brandon Mellon for the Huskies, shaking up on that last play and making his way off the field.
All right, Zeroni is back to punt this one away into the wind, which again is picked up in this third quarter. He floats one out to about the midfield stripe. The ball is bouncing around. And again, we'll have another flag and some kind of a wrestling match going on downfield. I don't know what was going on there, but a couple of guys going at it.
Flags down at the end of the punt.
Flags all over the field again.
Wow. I'll tell you what, while we've got a minute, do you want to go downstairs? Okay, let's go downstairs. And once again, here is Kevin Donnan.
Thanks so much, Dave. You know, the Edmonton football community is a true family, whether it's, we'll set things back up to you, Dave, after that big play, but we'll get to me in just a second. Go ahead.
Well, call is against the Huskies, and as a result, the Edmonton Wildcats.
I think what happened, the flags were thrown, and there was no penalty, and the Wildcats ended up recovering that. So it must have bounced off one of the Husky players, been bouncing around, and the Wildcats ended up jumping on top of it and ended up not being no yards call, which I assume was what the flag was thrown for.
I think it was probably an onside player on that punt. Mix up in the backfield, and Swedish is able to take off with it, and he is stopped after a gain of about maybe 3 yards on the play. It looked like, again, the ball carrier went one way and the quarterback went the other.
Yeah, again, a little miscue, and again, when you're splitting reps in practice, looks like the snap ended up being high to the right, and that's what delayed the handoff.
Okay, as you were saying, Kevin.
Well, thanks a lot, Dave. You know, yesterday at a game at Johnny Bright at JP Bowl, really, between the AOB Crusaders and the Jasper Place Rebels, number 15 of the Crusaders, Andrew Bartko, suffered an incredibly tough injury, a compound fracture of his tibia and his fibia, and obviously was taken to hospital. Had a chance to visit Andrew this afternoon, and I can report that Mr. Bartko is recovering and is doing quite well. But we wanted to throw a shout out on behalf of ICU Video. Our executive producer Rob Zitlaw was there yesterday, and we just wanted to tip of the cap to Andrew, and especially to both the training staffs of the JP Rebels and of course the AOB Crusaders for their quick attention and their professionalism in dealing with Andrew Bartko's injury. So we wanted to just send him a get well soon and a speedy recovery to Andrew of the AOB Crusaders. Dave?
Great job, Kevin. Really appreciate that. And looks like, speaking of injuries, Justin Swedish is down on one knee at center field.
And you could see in that replay, he took a violent shot from one of the defenders coming in, top of the helmet right to his face mask, a little bit of whiplash. And he's definitely coming out of the game, and he's probably going to go through some protocol. You can see leading with the head. Likely in other leagues, that's going to result in a fine because there was no attempt to make any other kind of contact with the quarterback other than with the helmet. And so we'll pass it over to the veteran quarterback here to try to finish this drive off.
So they move the football all the way down to the 37-yard line.
Cody Olson comes in.
And Cody Olson is going to come in instead of the
there we
veteran.
go.
We get the rookie.
We get the rookie out.
Another member of the fabled Olson family.
Well, here we go. Let's see what the young guy has for us tonight.
Cody Olson at quarterback. Motion goes to the far side. Mix up in the backfield. The handoff, though, is successful. And it's run ahead by number 33, Matt Heinrichs. And Heinrichs will pick up a short gain of about maybe a yard or so on the play. And again, just a matter of, as you've said so many times, lack of reps, and you're going to have mix-ups in the backfield.
Yeah, the timing just seems to be off in the backfield all night. I mean, all three of these quarterbacks have had a chance to get in there, and the timing just doesn't seem to be smooth, and that's not allowing them to get in a rhythm.
All right, motion goes right, rolling right. Olson looks downfield. He's about to get hit, gets the football away, and it is almost intercepted, and right into the hands of number 7, O'Shane Samuels, but he couldn't hold on, and we have another flag.
Yeah, again, in the area of pass interference, but we'll see what the refs saw. Really, the ball wasn't anywhere close to one of the Cats receivers.
There it is.
Yes.
Yep.
Early on, gave the receiver a good shot in the back, and that's going to...
Number 7 on the Huskies, less than 15 yards. First down on the...
Samuels is charged with that one. He pushed the receiver, Brandon Revnord, to the ground just as the ball was getting to him.
Yeah, and the drive continues. The Wildcats are doing a good job, whether it's through penalty or through offensive plays. They are moving the ball, and here we go.
Ball at the 32-yard line. Cody Olson at quarterback. Handoff. Again, up the middle. Fumble. And who has it? Huskies say they have it.
I think my guess is the Wildcats ended up getting on it. It did bounce around, and someone tried to pick it up, wasn't successful. And looks like one of the receivers is coming up, number 88. Zach Burgess right there on the job. Good job getting on that ball and keeping the ball in the hands of the Cats with an opportunity to score here.
Not only that, but a gain of about a yard or two.
Yeah, I'm not sure who gets credited for that yard on the stat sheet, but again, another exchange problem in the backfield with their quarterbacks and running backs.
Olson now straight back in the pocket. He's being hurried, gets away from one tackle. We're going to have a holding call as Olson takes off with it and makes it up to about the 25-yard line. There was a late flag. I think it was probably holding.
Yeah, probably holding in the backfield, but again, the young quarterback did a great job getting out of the hands of a defensive lineman and making something out of what could have been a big loss and really forcing the Huskies into making a decision on this penalty here.
All right, let's go back downstairs, and once again, here's Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Wildcats training staff taking lots of care and attention with Justin Swedish right now. He's really feeling the effects of that hit. And obviously taking this series off and could be another one as well. Doctors are with him, and just he's really feeling effects. Now, what that all means right now is that Swedish is just taking his time right now, and we'll see if he gets back into this ball game.
Dr. Jim Adams down there talking with the quarterback, and he couldn't be in better hands. This is Cody Olson. Olson now rolling out. Gets the pass away. It is complete. A nice job of concentration and a great catch by number 83, Carter Lawson. And Lawson knew he was going to get hit, but he held onto the football.
Yeah, it did a good job to secure it, and it may have bought them enough yards with a chance to kick a field goal here. And again, you can't always get it all back when it's 2nd and 20 or so. So again, good job of executing, taking what was available, taking the short gain, and maybe giving them a chance here.
So it'll be 3rd down and 12, and it looks like they're going to punt it away.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try to gain the field position instead, maybe get them pinned into the corner, and we'll see.
So Zeroni standing at about his own 50-yard line with 8:58 to go in the 3rd quarter. Wildcats trail this one 20-7. There's the snap. Gets a good one away into the wind. It'll come down to about the goal line. Ball is loose and finally picked up by the Huskies. And it'll be taken out of the end zone by number 33, Vince Schiffner. And Schiffner was taken down from behind. There looks like there's going to be another flag on the play.
Picking up that punt.
Well, with the ball bouncing around like that, it's hard to tell if it's hit somebody or hit a leg. And again, risky play, and the Husky player, Vince, able to get the ball and at least try to gain some of the ground back.
And a flag down.
Yeah, it looked like it hit that the Huskies receiver, but apparently not.
No yards.
And Schiffner picks up the loose ball. No yards is going to be the call, of course.
5-yard penalty. 1st down.
And so the Huskies are well back in their own zone. In fact, that's probably the deepest they've been for the whole game.
That may be the deepest they've been for the whole year. You know what? Again, great job of punting it, not punting it into the end zone, because they likely would have elected maybe to give up the single, but now they're going to be working out of the shadows of their own goalpost, and the Huskies really with a great opportunity here for their defense to step up, lean on them again to make another play and maybe get the ball back already in Husky territory.
Braden Chillibeck shaken up and heading
Braden Chillibeck is the injured Wildcat.
I see them down there talking to Justin Swedish to see, probably going through some concussion protocol, but again, if he's feeling the effects per se, my guess is he's going to be on the sideline and they won't let him go back in if there's any chance he has a concussion.
All right, so he walks away from Dr. Adams.
Jimmy Airy, the ball carrier.
And we may see him late. come back in this football game.
Yeah, I'd really like to see him back. He really started to get some momentum going, and some great things were happening, and we need the Wildcats need him back behind center.
The carry by Jimmy Airy is a gain of about 8, so it'll be 2nd and a short 2. Ball on the 15-yard line. Hand off, up the middle. Taking off with it again is Jimmy Airy. And Airy this time will pick up close to about 10 yards. Or make that closer to about 6 yards.
Looks like Ben Davidson there on the tackle, and you could see him trying to strip the ball out with the tackle. And again, I've seen that all night by the Wildcats. They're trying to create those turnovers. They're trying to get that ball back.
All right, we've got 3 flags out there. And so the officials are going to have to sort this one out. They all came out at about the same time, so.
Procedure, number 68 on the Huskies. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
All right, 3 flags, 1 penalty.
Well, good break for the Wildcats. Again, going 1st and 15 is going to allow their defense to, again, be a little bit more aggressive and move around a little differently, hoping to stop it. Also, looking back at the defense, you can see they continue to rotate. Looks like they've got 2 deep here on the defense, getting ready for a cover 2, either man or zone. And hopefully it looks like they're defending against the pass, being at 1st and 15.
Ball on the 19-yard line. Brad Lonhart continues at quarterback, looks back, downfield, into the middle this time to Jimmy Airy, and Airy can't hold on to the football.
The pass intended for Jimmy Airy falls incomplete.
Again, pressure up front and just not able to get the ball up. It was, again, a catchable ball, but it was quite low, and again, that's due to the pressure. You can see here in the replay, getting up in the face and just not quite getting it into his hands, although he's not going to be happy with himself with that one. It may have been at his knees, but it definitely was catchable. And now we're in 2nd and 15, exactly where the Wildcat defense wants the Huskies offense.
Brant Berzik is the lone setback, play action, and looking deep. Lonhart has a man open at the 50, and it is complete to number 86 for the Huskies, Zach Desviatnik.
Well, great catch and great ball on time. You know what? Great coverage by the DB as well. Just wasn't able to outwork him for the ball. He was right there. Great delivered ball. Just unfortunate that the Wildcats couldn't get the knockdown and force a punting situation.
Gain of about 38 yards on that play. Hand off to Airy. Airy takes the middle and plows ahead for a gain of close to 5 yards.
The ball carrier once again.
And there's that ability to mix up the offense.
Yeah, and again, you can kind of see they are going a little bit with a hurry-up and no-huddle offense, and you know what? It's going to wear down the defense. The defense hasn't been out there, and, you know, we're now into the second half, and we're going to see that defense get tired because of the time on the field, and so they're trying to keep things going quickly to take advantage of that.
Fumble in the backfield, and Airy is able to recover.
Well, in the break, the Wildcats needed, you know, whether it's a play on defense or a fumbled ball. Now they're looking at 3rd down, and they are going to get the ball back. They gave up a little bit of field position, and again, you think about the Huskies offense. If I was their coach, I'd be like, hey, we just marched it 40, 45 yards out of our own end. That's a win. On the other side of the ball, the Wildcats are going to get the ball back. Let's see if we can get a return, put them in decent field position, and we'll see who comes out at quarterback. I don't see Justin with his helmet on quite yet, so I don't imagine it will be him quite yet.
Sabourin gets a high spiraling kick. It's going to go down into the end zone, bouncing around down there, and finally picked up and stopped as he got over the goal line, it looks like. And that was number 22 for the Wildcats, Isaiah Brown. Did a good job of getting out over the goal line.
Yeah, now he gets it up at the 20, so good job not giving up a point, and the reality is with 2 touchdowns there, with the reality is don't give up those points, keep it a 2-score game, and you've got a chance. And now the offense is going to have to move. Looks like we got Cody Olsen back in the huddle. We'll see what the young guy can do, if he can continue with some of the movement. And I've also seen with him in the huddle, he's been moving around, a little bit more mobility, which is creating time for him to be able to throw the ball. We'll see if they use some of that mobility to move the ball here.
So the youngster at quarterback, 3rd quarterback of the night for the Wildcats, puts a one way up in the air. It is incomplete. In and out of the hands of the intended receiver, number 83 for the Wildcats, Carter Lawson. And good velocity on that football, maybe just a little bit too high, but nevertheless, Lawson almost came down with it.
Well, you know what, and again, and it can get picky here, but you see in the replay there, although he jumped up, he really didn't extend his hands up to the ball. And as a receiver, you got to believe if you're going to go for a jump ball and your quarterback's believing in you to make a play, you've got to extend fully. And I think if he would have extended his hands, he probably would have caught that ball. He was in the better position.
Olsen gets the ball away. It is complete, just shy of the 30-yard line. Fumbled. They're ruling it an incomplete pass.
Didn't really have possession for long enough is what the ruling would be. It seems like he was able to make a football move, I think is what the rule book says. But again, whether he got it back or it was incomplete, they're going to be forced to punt it away here.
You know, I mentioned Olsen of the infamous Olsen football family. Of course, older brother Brandon is out for the rest of the season. And even older brother Jordan is the quarterbacking coach of the Wildcats.
It seems like it's a family affair.
Well, of course, Jordan used to be a great quarterback too for the Wildcats.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got two onside players, maybe expecting that short kick.
Taken by Zachikowski, straight up the middle, has plenty of room, and is taken down after a run back of close to 22 yards.
Receives that punt in zone 45-yard
and great field position for the Huskies once again.
Well, I think they only netted 2 yards after punting that ball from where they originally had it, and so that's unfortunate for the Wildcats, putting in their defense in a real tough position, defending 22 yards of their end of the field.
25-yard punt, 23 yards on the return for Zachikowski.
Getting back to the Olsen family, I'm sure that Cody would be a lot more comfortable if his older brother was out there at wide receiver too.
Well, there's definitely something special about having your older brother, and you know you can go to him if you need to.
All right, here's Lonhart taking off with it. He gets around the corner out to the outside and is finally run out of bounds after a gain of about 12 yards. They mark it at about the 10-yard line. So Brad Lonhart takes it upon himself and heads out for a good gain of 12.
Well, we haven't seen him run, but he did a good job of stretching the field, getting to the outside, you know, getting the first down and avoiding taking the hit, which I'm sure the coach is happy about.
1st and 10 from the 10. Straight ahead, Jimmy Airy. The gain is just a couple yards. Actually, they marked the ball was at the 11, so it'll be a gain of, we'll call it 4 yards. 2nd and 6.
Just outside
ball
the 6-yard line.
Is at about the 6 with 3:40 to go in this third quarter.
Yeah, it comes down to inches, but it looks like they could get a first down without scoring a touchdown, but it'll likely be all or nothing on this one.
All right, rolling left, Lonhart, shovel pass, complete to Airy, in for the touchdown.
Brad Lonhart with the shovel pass.
Yeah, great, again, a great little design play, and we talk about the challenges the Wildcats are having with their exchanges and timing in the backfield. You're watching an offense who has the timing. He understands what he's looking for, and he, you know, Brad did a good job of holding the ball long enough, draw the defender out, making the pitch underneath. Blocking up front was good, and he walked into the end zone.
All right, the point after. Sabourin looking to add to his league-leading total. And there it is, through the uprights. And with 3:26 to go in this third quarter, it's a 27-7 football game in favor of the Edmonton Huskies. And Rob, it just looks like the Huskies are just starting to slowly, as they did 2 weeks ago, slowly wear down this Edmonton Wildcats defense.
Yeah, and they're just being a little bit more consistent. And you talk all the time about these games won in the trenches. You know, the offensive line of the Huskies are just winning that battle more often than not. And then, you know, when the defense is out there, it's just giving the Wildcats enough trouble. They can't get the consistency they want. They can't hold on to that momentum long enough.
Let's go downstairs. Here's Kevin Donovan.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Continuing with the coverage of the Swedish injury here on the Wildcat sideline. It is definitely a head injury, but what it is, trainers keep looking at the jaw area of Swedish, but anytime you get a head injury or a violent collision to the head, they're taking every precaution. So I would expect Swedish to be out until at least the fourth quarter. Dave?
Thanks a lot, Kevin. There's the kickoff all the way down to the goal line. Wildcats at the 10, still going. There's a handoff as they try the little reverse to Jaden Dalkey, and Dalkey is stopped at about the 5-yard line, probably even lost on that run back.
Yeah, I think they may have lost a couple yards. Again, you've got to try something, though, and hats off to the special teams coordinator, you know, trying to spark their team. They need that spark, but here's a big weight on the shoulders of the offense of the Wildcats in the shadows of their goalpost now. Let's see if they can put some first downs together like we saw the Huskies do when they took over on their own 5 or 6.
So they mark the ball at the 4-yard line. First down from that point for the Wildcats. Cody Olsen still at quarterback. 3:04 to go in the third quarter. Olsen running to this side, looking downfield. Pass is almost picked off. In there on the coverage was, again, number 7, O'Shane Samuels. And, boy, I'll tell you what, just another step and he was gone.
Yes, he was, and again, good job, strong arm, trying to get it out there. But again, he's got to be aware of that maybe a little bit earlier. If he can deliver that ball a little bit earlier, he'll be better off. And fortunately for him, it ended up on the turf, and he lives to see second down and see if he can execute on second down to keep the drive going for the Wildcats.
This is going to be a huge, huge play for the Wildcats. They've got to get the ball moving. Oh, no, it goes off the goalpost. And when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. And that's just exactly what happened a couple of weeks ago, too.
Yeah, again, I don't know if that would have been a successful play regardless. They're going back to that swing pass, and I think we've seen it. I don't know if we've seen it successfully, but again, linebackers out there waiting for that to happen. And again, dangerous. I think they need to stretch the field. We talked about that at the half. And I think it's important that they do that because they're creeping up, and those linebackers are all over the running backs when they run a swing pass.
Well, as you're saying, the linebackers are spread out. There's no question about that. That should leave the middle open in theory.
Well, and again, often if you can run that swing pass, you want to try to come in behind it. So you're going to force that linebacker out. Usually it creates a hole. So we'll see if they can get a slot back in behind the linebackers to...
From the snap...
It was a fumbled snap, and not sure if he was going to take a knee, and he ended up giving up the safety.
Anyway,
yeah.
One way or the other. So things continue to go from bad to worse for this Edmonton Wildcats team. Wildcats will be back on ICU video next Saturday as they take on the visiting Hamilton Hurricanes from the Ontario Football Conference in, as Kevin was mentioning, the 40th anniversary game of the year that the Wildcats went down to Hamilton and beat the Hurricanes to win the Canadian Football Championship, the Canadian Junior Football Championship.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great weekend, you know what, for all the players, for all the alumni in the organization to celebrate, you know, the history of the organization and the great things that have happened and where they've come from, and you know, maybe ignite some emotion in these guys when they have the visiting Hamilton team in town as they get ready for that game over the course of this week.
Well, so far the Ontario teams have not fared well in any of their games against the PFC this season. There's a good catch by Zachikowski. He had to dive for that one, actually slid, and carries the ball ahead a couple of yards. They stop him at about the 39-yard line. But, you know, admittedly, the Ontario teams have not fared well this year against the PFC teams. But it gives, I think, the Ontario teams more of an idea of exactly where they have to be if they want to be competitive in Canadian junior football.
Yeah, it's definitely give them that opportunity. And again, you're going to see some good teams out here, and it really speaks volumes about the West, like out west, the quality of football, and specifically in the Prairie Football Conference.
All right, in at quarterback is Tommy Yanchuk. He has the pass complete out on the far side to Bergeson. Bergeson along the sidelines is taken down at about the Wildcats' 40-yard line.
By Josh Cobber.
And that'll be a big gain and a first down for the Huskies as they go into a hurry-up offense, again, with the sole purpose of just tiring out that defense of the Wildcats. There's the handoff left side. Burzik breaks a couple of tackles and is finally taken down at around the 25-yard line. Huskies offense on the move now.
Well, and you heard Ian talk at the half about getting their other quarterback extra reps and really meaningful reps, not just mop up at the end of the game, but actually meaningful reps. And it's showing that he's obviously got the experience and he's got quite the arm there to get it out there to the flat and really execute all aspects of the offense. I mean, the exchanges are looking good, and you don't really see much of a drop off there.
We have an injured Husky, and I believe it is number 52, Gunnar Thurett from the Spruce Grove Panthers. Fifth-year man with this Husky team. Looks like they are looking at his leg, and he limps off the field pretty much under his own steam, so it looks like he'll be back. And in to replace him.
And it'll be 1st and 10 Huskies now at the Wildcats 24.
I think they got Brad Lonhart back in the huddle running the offense here.
So Lonhart out briefly. Back in there. There's the sweep and the pass. It is going to be picked off at the 10-yard line by the Wildcats. And taking the ball upfield is number 30, Joshua Kober. And Kober is stopped after a run back of close to about 30 yards or so. And Kober, pretty happy young Wildcat out there as the Huskies try a little bit of their own razzle-dazzle.
Well, little razzle-dazzle and some very poor fundamentals at the quarterback position played by that. I think it was a receiver, you know, kind of falling away, throwing the ball downfield. He had the guy open in the end zone, couldn't get the ball to him. And good play, heads-up play by the Wildcats to get the ball and not get their offense out on the field.
There's the handoff left side. Short gain up to about the 30-yard line. So it might be a gain of a yard or so.
Kiefer Moak, the ball carrier. Brought down on the play by number 49, Bryce Leah.
Cody Olsen still in at quarterback for the Wildcats.
2nd and 9 coming up now.
Gain of 1. Motion goes left. Handoff up the middle once again. Oh, taking off with it is Cody Olsen. Had me fooled from up here. And Olsen looks like he needed about 9, and I think he got just about that much.
Helped out of bounds by
yeah, we'll see where they marked him out. I think he's going to be a few yards short. Yeah, he came up short. I think he went out a little earlier than wanting to, and they're going to be forced into a punting situation.
A long 4, out to 37.
Well, and you heard at half Darcy talk about that exchange and how he needs to read the end, and he did a great job reading the end, just came up short in the run. But the reality is at least he's making that read. If that defensive end is collapsing down on your running back, you've got to pull it and be a threat to run, and he did do that on that play, so great execution, just not quite enough yards. Lined up here with the punt team again, 2 guys onside waiting, and it looks like it may be a fake, a little bit of run punt.
Ball is bouncing around, didn't go 10 yards.
Didn't go 5 yards, didn't go 3 yards. I think it landed on the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
Flags down.
Well, that kind of strategy just doesn't seem to be working.
There's no flags on the play. Play is blown dead. First down.
Okay, so the play is automatically blown dead because the ball did not travel the 10 yards?
It was blown dead for one reason or another, and looks like that's going to end the quarter.
Wow. 1st and 10 Huskies at the Wildcats 39-yard line when we resume play in the 4th quarter.
So at the end of 3 quarters of play, it is the Edmonton Huskies leading the Edmonton Wildcats by a score of 29-7. And there you get a panoramic view of Clarke Park. And just over to our left, of course, the always beautiful Commonwealth Stadium. The brick field at Commonwealth Stadium. And we just want to thank all of our sponsors here for the Edmonton Wildcats: Dental Choice, OTR Kitchen and Drink, the JC Boilers Service Limited, the Rough Rider, Flamin Fitness, and of course the folks at WestJet. Let's go downstairs now. Here is Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Of course, as we've been mentioning all night long, next weekend is a big weekend for the Edmonton Wildcats. It's the 40th anniversary celebration of their national title team in 1977. Of course, on Friday night at Capilano Hall. Make sure you check with the Wildcats for ticket information. That's a big alumni celebration on Friday night. That's once again at Capilano Hall. And then, of course, the next night, Saturday the 23rd, right here on ICU Video. If you can't make it to Clarke Park, make sure you stay tuned with us, because we'll have complete broadcast coverage of the Wildcats against the visiting Hamilton Hurricanes in a very exciting interconference matchup. So stay right here with ICU Video and PFC Football, the place you want to be all season long.
All right, thanks a lot, Kevin. Appreciate that. And we are getting ready to go with this fourth quarter of football. And as I mentioned earlier, it just looks like this Huskies team so powerful, almost identical to the game 2 weeks ago. They just seem to be wearing down the Wildcats.
Yeah, and again, you can see late as the game goes on, limiting some of those mistakes. And that's what you get in a good team, a team that's built and has the confidence. You know, they know they're going to make mistakes, but they respond really well to it. And the Cats can learn from that and watch that. And, you know, they've kind of hung around. And unfortunately, the score is not encouraging for them, but they have hung around and they need to continue to make plays. And
they're just a quarter away from clinching a playoff berth for 2017 in the Prairie Football Conference. There's the pass. It is completed about the 30-yard line and taken there by Sam Clayton out of Bev Facey. He's a young rookie, 6'3", 200 pounds. So again, Coach Ian McLean getting some of the youngsters in there.
Yeah, and I talked to some of the staff on the Huskies before the game down on the field, and they were talking about the depth they do have. I mean, they've got the depth at quarterback. We've seen that. We've seen a couple guys go down, and they've really had their young guys and their backups step up and do a great job.
Longhart with the handoff to Berzik, and Berzik plows ahead for a gain of about 3. They'll mark it at around the 25-yard line with 14-12 to go, and the Huskies again knocking on the doorstep, not quite in the red zone, but very close.
Along with Ben Davids. And that's a gain of 3 yards. That'll bring
Yeah, good job. You mean, again, you're putting them 2nd and 7. That's a decent down and distance for your defense, and now you've got to execute. You've got to make a play, because you know they're going to come out and try to execute an offensive play here.
Out of the shotgun pass at the 5-yard line. It is incomplete. Great job of knocking the ball out of the hands of the receiver down there by Tony Satchuk.
Yeah, Tony was on the coverage, and number 30, Josh Kober, fell off of his guy running into the flat and dislodged that ball. Great heads-up play and a good job. Tony on one side and then making a play and not giving up, knocking that ball out. Good job.
Well, that was the old sandwich.
Well, and that's the type of play you're looking for in your defense. You know, stop the drive, force him into a field goal situation, and now he's kicking into the wind. He's got a strong leg, but again, maybe an opportunity for a return.
Cole Sabarin from the 33-yard line.
It's interesting, the Huskies, although...
Well, he's got the leg, and he's got the accuracy as well for the three-pointer. And with 13:27 to go in the fourth quarter, it's a 32-7 football game in favor of the Edmonton Huskies.
Nothing exciting came from it, but if you would have noticed on that formation, a typical field formation, you have everybody in line. They actually had a guy lined up on the far side of the field as like a slot back receiver. Had good heads-up play by number 2, Tony Satchuk, to recognize that and go over. Force them to kick the field goal, because I guarantee you, if he wasn't covered, they were throwing the ball, and it likely would have been a touchdown.
That almost would have been one of those, the legendary sleeper plays.
That's right, standing by the bench.
I'll tell you a story about that someday. All right, back in the pocket. Olsen firing downfield. He has a man open over the outstretched arms of the intended receiver, Mihalidis. And we have a late flag in the backfield.
Well, good job of taking a shot downfield. Again, that is going to stretch the defense. Again, you get into this point in time of the game, and sometimes the defense is expecting that. He was in decent coverage. Unfortunately, the ball, it was on the inside, had no chance to adjust.
I think the most famous sleeper play of all time came in about I'm going to say 1957, 58, at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, and I was there. Bobby Simpson took the sleeper pass, and he was wide open. There was nobody near him for about 55 yards, and he got caught at the 5-yard line. At any rate.
Yeah, Wildcats looking to move the ball, hitting a quick slant. It looks like there may have been a flag, possibly pass interference on the slant. The DB, although he almost picked it off, arrived, I think, a little bit too early.
So we have a call against the Huskies.
Number 7 on the Huskies. Less than 15 yards. Results in a first down.
O'Shane Samuels is fingered, and it'll be a first down for the Wildcats.
As a result of that penalty, it will be a first down for the Wildcats.
32-yard line. Wildcats hoping to get something going. They've still got time. There's 12:55 to go in this fourth quarter. They trail 32-7. And I'm sure they'd like to go into that game against the Hamilton Hurricanes on a positive note. There's the pass. It is incomplete, intended for number 81, Lucas Howe. He had it, but knocked out of his hands just at the last minute. Good defensive play by Donovan Bergmeyer.
Yeah, those two receivers getting a little bit too close together on the sideline. And again, if you've got two guys in the same space and the ball isn't delivered on time, the DB falls off. So again, that wasn't his cover guy. That was the other guy who was closer to the sideline. DB fell off, dislodged the ball. So we need to see if that ball can get delivered a little bit quicker, give him a chance to secure that ball before the hit comes.
All right, we have a timeout being called. Wildcats coaching staff talking it over with a couple of players as we take a look at number 81 for the Wildcats. Howe, he was injured on that play.
It's likely took a nice shot to the ribs there. That's not going to feel good.
Probably more of a getting the wind knocked out of him, looks like. So
that's Lucas Howe up and heading off the field.
So you can see here on the replay, there's a flat guy, and that DB just fell off. So really, part of that is getting proper spacing, and so that flat route likely should have been at 5 yards, the other guy at 10 yards, and that not only creates vertical spacing, but the horizontal spacing as well, and that eliminates the ability for somebody to fall off, because the idea of that flat receiver is to draw him out to open up the hole in behind.
So it's 2nd and 10 from the 32. All kinds of motion this side of the field. Olsen takes off with it, looks around the corner, tries the middle now, takes off with it himself, and is stopped just over the 40-yard line. He needed to get to about, I'm going to say, the 43-yard line. I think he may be a yard or so short.
I think he is, but he's definitely going to force his head coach into a tough decision here.
Olsen will be close enough for a measurement.
So good coverage downfield by the Huskies. And that forces Olsen out of the pocket. Picks up a good gain, but whether it will be enough or not, we'll have to wait and see as they come out with the chains to check on the measurement.
And you can see there with a mobile quarterback and moving the pocket, and you can see this a lot in all different levels. If you can roll them out, you've got a run-pass option. It looks like there's inches short, and they're definitely in a position where I think they should go for this one.
Short by the nose of the football.
Just the nose. No more.
12:07 left in the fourth quarter.
And often you take these plays for granted, but with the exchange problems that we've been seeing, we just hope that the Wildcats can execute properly with only inches to go. As long as the exchange is good, this should be a given first down. But you know the Huskies in this position, there's nothing stopping them from trying to knife into that backfield and hold him up. But it's important that the Wildcats, we talk about executing the little things. This is one of those things they really have to execute and execute properly.
Olsen was at the bench, talking things over with his coaching staff. Out over center. Moves ahead. There is a flag on the play. That generally means defensive offside, but we'll have to wait and see. Look, he had a good push.
He did have a good push, and that was a great job of, again, we've seen in the past, I think it was the last series or a couple series ago, they were short, a short yardage situation, and instead of taking the quarterback sneak, they actually went 4 yards back into the backfield, which gives them time, and that's not necessarily going to work every time, but good job here.
Number 55 on the Wildcats. Be a 5-yard penalty.
So it's offside on the offense.
Well, that's interesting because it's not often. It's usually a procedure call on the offense, so he must have lined up offside. And that's a real unfortunate break for the Wildcats when they had a little bit of movement on their offense, and again, a penalty is stopped this drive for them.
So Zeroni will be forced to kick this one away from about his own 25-yard line. Receivers standing at around the 40. Zeroni gets a high one away. It's going to come down at the 40-yard line. It's bouncing around. Finally picked up by Zachkowski. Did he touch it? He jumps on it. Everybody jumps on it. And of course the mandatory flag for no yards. And it looks like it's going to go against the Wildcats, and it will be a Huskies football. We'll see who comes up at the bottom of the pile.
And Mazzaroni was down there as well. Flags down.
Wildcats are saying that they have it.
I think they may have recovered it. It's just a matter of when did the Huskies touch it. If they touched it for the first time when someone was in that 5-yard halo, it's going to be no yards. But it'll be interesting to see what the call was here, because it definitely took a different bounce. And it could have hit one of the Huskies earlier before anybody was in that 5-yard halo.
It looked like, it seemed like Zachkowski, the ball seemed to bounce off his knee.
Yeah, we'll see in a replay, see if we can get an idea of if it hit somebody.
Right there.
Number 13 on the Wildcats.
Nope, they say not.
First down.
I guess the eyes on the field definitely saw it not be touched until that infringement on the 5-yard halo.
That's a 15-yard variety of no yards, and so the Huskies of scrimmage now 1st and 10 at their own 51-yard line.
And again, great field position for the Huskies. Ball on their own 51-yard line. Janchuk rather is the quarterback.
Tommy Janchuk handing that ball off
to Grant Burzik, and Burzik will move it ahead about 5 yards or so.
And Dalkey knifing in from that secondary position once again to make a really great tackle and stop the run in its tracks.
Inside Wildcat territory at their 54.
So it'll be 2nd and about 5. Tommy Janchuk now rolling to his left, looks downfield, gets one away, and it is going to be incomplete, as the defender definitely had position on the receiver. And in fact, looking for the call was number 22, Isaiah Brown, but he's not going to get it.
Yeah, we'll see here on the replay. I think he may have a case here. He definitely had position, almost like a box out, and he just didn't aggressively attack the ball, but definitely was pulled back from the ball. I'm quite surprised with 2 refs standing in proximity that they didn't decide to call that one.
Tanner Buchanan was the intended receiver. And this time the Huskies will be forced to kick it away. Oh, they fake the kick and move ahead for the first down. We'll take a look at that one, but it was a direct snap.
It was a direct snap to one of the upbacks, and it'll be interesting because the spot will determine it. And it looks like based on the spot on this side, they may have the first down. We'll see.
They do. And so a little razzle-dazzle from the Huskies, and this time it works. And on the direct snap, the Huskies continue their march downfield with the ball at about the 49-yard line of the Wildcats.
Well, we're seeing both teams using some different trick plays, different types of things on special teams, both sides of the ball, and it's good to see that those coaches are engaged, keeping the players going, creating some opportunities, and this time it goes in favor of the Huskies.
There's the snap. Janchuk is going to fumble it, pick it up, and nailed for a loss of about maybe 6 yards on the play.
And Jaden Dahlke make sure
we've had, I think we've had probably about a half a dozen missed snaps in one way or the other tonight.
Oh, I would say at least that many, and maybe it is the cold weather that the footballs are cooling off, and the breeze has been up and down, and so it's definitely cold, and again, tough on some players to stay engaged. Even if you're up, you're excited, but again, it can still be cold, and if you're not warm and you're rotating in, sometimes you're not quite ready for the cold snap.
Here's the screen pass, complete at the 50, and thrown for a loss of about 5 yards is Grant Burzik.
Well, another great read by the Wildcats defense. 2 guys there waiting with open arms for the screenplay. Good job of shedding the blocks of the guys that come out in front. And typically when you run a screenplay, if you're trying to understand what that is usually you end up letting the offensive line let the defensive line attack the quarterback. They slide out and go block downfield, and you slide a running back in behind. And so that's what they tried to execute there. Wildcats did a great job reading it and playing it really well.
This time they get the punt away. The ball is going to bounce. Picked up at about the 30-yard line. And we have a late flag as the Wildcats continue to move the ball forward. Isaiah Brown, but he was hit hard at about the 25-yard line. But we'll see what the flag is all about. It kind of late one. Might have been an illegal block.
By Jason Brown, and we've got flags down.
Yeah, we'll have to see what this flag is. I'm thinking it was maybe a holding or something on the Wildcats, which is going to move them back even further. Again, opportunity there. You can see this ball hangs up for a long, long time. It's a little bit short. If he would have done a better job, just if he could have got under that and caught it right there, it definitely would have been a no yards call. And again, there's always that risk. And again, you're going into a crowd. But as soon as you touch it, if they're in that halo, it's a no yards call. And that, unfortunately, he was about a step behind. He couldn't quite get under that ball. And now they're going to be moved back a little bit here.
Holding ticket number 094326. That's 094.
So the ball is on the 20-yard line. First down for the Wildcats. Olsen looks downfield and takes off with it himself, and he was going nowhere. It looks like that defensive line read that one all the way, led by the big guy, number 92 for the Huskies. That's Justin Pearson out of Salisbury. Another one of the rookies getting some attention out there.
Yeah, interesting decision by the quarterback to take off and go. He did have a little bit of a pocket forming, not a lot of pressure coming, but again, probably feeling pressure from past series and past times in the field. He takes off and runs a little bit early where maybe he could have stood in and delivered the ball because he really ran into the guy who ended up making the tackle.
Swing pass to the far side, complete over there to Mihailidis. And Mihailidis is stopped just over the 15-yard line. It looks like it's going to be another loss on the play.
Yeah, a little different look of the swing pass. Instead of going to a running back, they went to kind of that slash guy in motion. And so it can come in behind, get it out there into the flats. And again, this defense of the Huskies just are all over those swing plays tonight.
Really impressed with the speed of the Huskies' defensive line and linebackers. That seems to be the secret to their defense.
Yeah, when you can rely on your defensive line to take away the interior run, that does allow your linebackers to be a little bit more spread out and cover more field.
Zeroni gets a kick away. It's an end over end down to about the 50, taken there by Zachkowski again. That is at the 50 to the 40, still going. 30. Shakes off a couple of tacklers and is finally taken out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. Zachkowski, his only duties tonight have been on the punt and kick returns, and boy, I'll tell you what, he's done a great job.
He has, and the Wildcat coverage team, again, is just breaking down, and they're not staying in their lanes. And, again, a fairly nice punt, lots of hang time. It's that second-level group of guys. They're creating gaps in it, and you can see he hit it really hard. And then he just outran to the outside edge. And, again, tough when you're punting it away and you only gain 4 or 5 yards. We've seen that happen a couple times tonight now.
And, again, that's the depth on the Huskies. I mean, he's a rookie out of Paul Kane, and he has just been phenomenal on the punt returns. There's the fake handoff, and going up the middle is number 12 for the Edmonton Huskies.
Ben Wilton, he is the third quarterback now in the game, and taking the ball himself and making the most of it.
Ben Wilton out of Spruce Grove. 5'11", 175-pound rookie in at quarterback and getting a touch on the football. He's still out there. Got Brant Berzik beside him. And there's the handoff to Berzik. Berzik trips and moves the ball ahead a couple of yards. And again, that's just a mix-up in the backfield, and that's just a rookie mistake.
We've seen that from both quarterbacks on the Wildcat side and now seeing it from the third quarterback here. But again, this is the opportunity. This is the intentionality of excuse me, Ian McLean to get those young guys on the field so they can get the reps in game. So when it is their time to be called upon, they're ready and they're limiting those mistakes.
There's the pass complete on the far side. Touchdown, Zaitchikowski. And after such great work on the special teams, obviously Coach Ian McLean says, okay, let's get out there and you know, you've done well this way. Let's try it this way. And he scores the touchdown.
Yeah, great job of getting the guy free underneath. He actually came out late, and again, the play action started the whole thing, and that's the key. If you have that run game established with the Huskies, have done a fairly good job for the most part all night, just enough to keep the guys honest. Play action bought the quarterback lots of time, created the opportunity and open space for the touchdown.
And what a thrill that's got to be for young Ben Wilton.
Yeah, great to come in.
Second touch, he gets a touchdown.
Yeah, he's pretty excited. It was a great drive, first the run, now the pass. Good job with play action, and you can tell the fundamentals of the quarterbacks are really, really good on the Huskies. Looking very much like Brad Lonhart. When he does his fake, the eyes go to the running back. He's looking back at the running backs, and it's those fundamental things you teach your quarterbacks to create the space for your passing. And if the Cats can pick up some of those fundamental things and just keep repping them and practicing them, they're going to see more success with their young quarterbacks as well.
Now, I can't say this for sure, but I'm pretty sure that is probably the first pass reception in the Prairie Football Conference for young Keaton Zaitchikowski.
It probably is, and that's a great way to start.
It is. And with 6:15 to go in the fourth quarter, the Huskies move ahead by a score of 39-7. And Cole Sabarin will be kicking this one away. Wildcats waiting for it at about their own 10-yard line. Into the wind, taken at the 15 on the far side. Up along the sidelines with some room to go. And taken down, I believe that was Jaden Delkey, if I'm not mistaken. No, that was number 81, Lucas Howe. And Howe has a good return of about 15 yards or so.
Yeah, buying their offense a little bit more space behind them, put them in a little more comfortable position.
Yeah. 6:09 to go.
50-yard kickoff for
Huskies with a lot of new numbers out there, giving as many players as possible an opportunity to get some action in.
You know, and that's what you want to do as a team, as you develop your young guys to maintain the success they're experiencing this year.
Hand off by Olsen, straight up the middle, fumble, and the Huskies may have recovered. See who's at the bottom of the pile. It's going to be a Huskies football.
That ball pops loose.
And just when you think finally the Wildcats are getting their run game going, maybe the longest run of the night, it would have been 10 or 11 yards. Again, ball pops out, and another break that goes against them ends the drive and really puts the Husky defense in a real tough position.
I believe that was Matt Heinrichs. Good move forward, but as he was hit, the ball came loose, and the Huskies recover on the Wildcats' 50-yard line. Let's see who's in at quarterback now. It's going to be number 11 for the Huskies, and that is Nahomi Jorgis.
Nahomi Jorgis in at quarterback.
And he is from the St. Francis Xavier Rams out of Edmonton. So now we're down to the fourth string quarterback.
Well, and you look at the depth, and they talked about it earlier in the game, the depth that these Huskies have, and you know what, they're showing us that with the execution. And I mean, things aren't perfect, but definitely the opportunity is there for these young guys to get valuable experience, valuable reps that is going to lend itself to success over the next coming years.
Holding the call against the Huskies.
Holding against the Huskies, so that'll move the ball back 10 yards. It'll be 1st and 20 with 5:25 to go in the fourth quarter. Nahomi Jorgis at quarterback. Rolling right. Little kind of a shovel pass forward. And taken there by number 28, Tristan Collar out of H.J. Cody High School in Sylvan Lake. You want to say hi to all the folks watching down in Sylvan Lake tonight.
Yeah, right back to that shovel pass. I know some of the coaches with the Huskies, and for years, I know they've liked that shovel pass, different versions of it. Well executed there again, drawing the lineman upfield, coming underneath to the running back who kind of slips in behind unnoticed, and then nice first down and long play. Put him in a manageable situation.
Motion goes to the right. Play action. Jorgus passing. It is complete at the 35-yard line to Zajkowski.
Once again, you're seeing a great team use the play action by himself. Time, great patience on the quarterback, and a very common route combination. And I mean, you've got a flat route that draws early. You've got a deep out, which is what he hit, and then you've got a 9 or a straight route down the sideline. Very common route pattern. Good job of the quarterback to be patient and wait for it to develop.
Little bootleg action to the left as Jorgus takes off with it. And he is run out of bounds after a gain of a couple. That was actually Bufreda that caught that pass on the far side and not Zajkowski. Number 84, and he is out of St. Albert, the St. Albert Skyhawks program.
Yes, I think that play officially puts all 4 quarterbacks for the Huskies on their rushing chart. So we thought there was a lot of running backs getting their hands on the ball. We're going to have a lot more in this second half now with the hands on the ball.
They may run out of paper for the statistics before this one's over.
Yeah, and they're the Huskies taking a little page out of the Wildcats, working on that swing pass. Just end up being a little bit too high for him to pull in, and so out comes special teams. We'll see if they're going to try to attempt a field goal into the wind or maybe just punt it and try to pin the Cats deep.
Be about a 42-yard field goal or thereabouts.
Those flags on top of Commonwealth are very stiff, and the ones on the goalpost here are definitely showing that there's a little bit more wind at this point in time. So we'll see. Looks like they're going to punt the ball, and we'll see if they can pin him deep.
All right, Sabarin takes the snap and almost in there to block it. Gets it shanked to the side, and I don't know how, but Savchuk is going to be called anyway for roughing the kicker. We'll take a look at this one, as Savchuk cannot believe the call. I don't see how he touched him, but maybe the plant leg.
Well, it's hard to see if he got part of the foot, but it looked close enough, and the kicker did his job and fell regardless of what happened here. We got a close-up here. We'll get a good idea.
Roughing the kicker will be the call.
Where?
Not sure if there was a lot of contact. The kicker actually kind of hurdled him and sidestepped, came down sideways. Good break for the Huskies. Tough one for the Wildcats because the punt was not a very good punt at all, and Tony did a great job of getting in there off the edge to make it close.
So first down for the Huskies. The ball on the 25-yard line of the Wildcats. Nahomi Jorgus at quarterback. You know, it's the old saying that, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The Huskies have had great quarterbacking for the last couple of years from Brad Lonhart. This will be his final year. They've got Justin Swedish, who's a third-year quarterback coming in, third or fourth year. They've got Cody Olson, who's a rookie, and they've got another rookie, Nahomi Jorgus. Riches galore at the quarterback position.
Well, they're preparing their stable of quarterbacks there, and I think Ben Wilton is back in the game, so there looks like they're rotating their back quarterbacks. And you know what? What a great place to be when you have quarterbacks you're confident in. And there's nothing like being a young quarterback and being able to learn on a championship caliber team. I mean, that's their goal this year. I'm sure it is. And you've got a great supporting cast, and that's great for a young quarterbacks to learn in that situation, and we'll see what he can do with a short field here.
Of course, they meant Ben Wilton and not Justin Swedish. He's on the other side. Wilton fakes the handoff, takes it up the middle himself, and is stopped at about the 15-yard line.
Well, if you didn't have the quarterback depth, you definitely wouldn't want your quarterbacks running quite this much. They are running that read option, and they're deciding to keep it a number of times. But again, when you have 4 quarterbacks you can put in the game to run it, away we go.
So the 3-minute whistle sounds.
Looks like it's second and short, so the playbook is wide open for the Huskies right now on this second and short.
39-7 in favor of the Huskies.
2nd and 2 from the 15.
2nd and 2 right on the 15-yard line. Wilton hands it off, right side around the corner, taking it there is number 30, Morgan Runge from the Whitecourt Cats. And, you know, as I keep calling out these names and where they're from, we're talking Lacombe, Whitecourt, St. Albert, Spruce Grove. The Huskies do such a great job of scouting all over North and Central Alberta.
Well, and again, like we've talked about, that is so important to building this program, is getting into all the towns and finding the great athletes that are going to fit your system.
Handoff straight up the middle, taken by Quade Smith. Ready for this out of Olds.
Oh, another one.
Olds High School. So
I have a feeling Ian is putting a lot of kilometers on his vehicle if he's getting all these players in. And you know, you talk about the development of the young players, and hats go out to all the high school coaches across the province who are doing a good job developing these young players, getting them ready to play at the next level, and really developing those fundamental abilities that allow them to come in and be an impact player in the junior league.
Including yourself, of course, with Vince Schiffner out there. Former Millwoods Christian.
Yeah, we've got one out there. It's good. I'm excited to see him do it. And, you know, he's developing into a great young player. You know, and that's what these coaches rely on. They rely on those high school coaches working with the young athletes. Really, you know, Ian's done a great job building the relationships, and so has Darcy, building the relationships with those high school coaches so you can go in and you can talk to those kids and let them know, hey, there is an opportunity for you to continue to play. And then they've got to take that talent and they've got to develop it.
Exactly.
And it seems like at this point the Huskies are kind of winning that race in getting the talent in the door. But again, the Cats aren't going to let up, and they're going to work to get those athletes in their door so they can develop that strong program that they want so dearly.
16-yard field goal, and it is going to go wide off the boot of number 25, Luca Capelli from the St. Albert Skyhawks. And Luca is the backup kicker and punter. We saw him get a lot of action last year with the injury to Cole Sabarin, and he tries a 16-yarder, and it goes just wide of the post.
Yeah, it looks like the snap and the pin was there. It looks like he just turned early, kept his head up, and pulled that very, very quickly to the left.
Keep your head down.
Always. I'm definitely not a kicking coach, but you can see the fundamentals kind of fell apart. But again, another opportunity for a young guy on the Huskies to get some experience, so when he is called upon, he can learn from those experiences.
Motion goes right for the Wildcats. Olsen rolls that way, looks downfield, has a man open at the 50, and it will be complete down to the 45-yard line, taken by Tanner Holt out of Bev Facey High School in Sherwood Park.
Great job by Tanner to keep focused on the ball, knowing he was going to get sandwiched here between the two guys. And again, ball was delivered probably a little bit late, but got there just in time. Great job of maintaining focus, holding on to the ball through contact.
Down to the final couple of minutes of the football game. Olsen looking downfield again, fires one right into the hands of the receiver. Going to be shy of the first down, but a good pass and a good reception from Jacob Mihalidis.
And Cole Lindbergh, number 43, in there on the tackle. But again, like you had said, good job maintaining upright position, keeping the hand on the ground so he can get a couple extra yards and not getting that knee down.
Cody Olsen, who took over in the third quarter, is going to go all the way for the rest of this football game. Over center, hands it off, and it is taken there and going nowhere. It was number 33, Matt Heinrichs, that he was piled up at the line of scrimmage. A couple of big defensive linemen in there, including number 42, Zachary White.
Oh, we talk about battling the trenches, and that really is a good picture of what it's looked like for the majority of this evening, right? Those Huskies are just, and again, they're up in this game. It's out of reach, and they are just fired up. They're just wanting to play, and you're getting some young guys in wanting to prove that, hey, they're ready for the next guy up.
Here's the pass. It is incomplete. Out of the hands of Mihalidis once again. And dropped footballs have hurt them a number of times tonight.
Yeah, small mistakes, and again, one of those fundamental things, you're in first down territory, maintain your eyes on the ball, all those things you teach the young guys from catching a ball while you're really young. You got to get back to those fundamentals, and you got to make sure you can execute those plays.
So the Huskies will take it over on downs. The ball is on their own 38-yard line. Hand off, up the middle. Short gain of maybe a yard or two. And Jorgis is back out there at quarterback.
Gain of a couple. That'll bring up
Just rotating through all the young quarterbacks. I mean, it's not often. I mean, tonight we've seen 7 quarterbacks in this game. And it's hard to believe. There's not many football games you'll watch and you'll see 7 quarterbacks, but all 4 from the Huskies and all 3 from the Wildcats have been on the field and taken reasonable amount of snaps.
Jorgis hands it off, right side, around the corner, and in for a gain of close to about 8 yards was number 28, Tristan Kohler, the running back from Sylvan Lake.
And defensive lineman Ambrose from the Wildcats chasing him down, and a little bit of a violent tackle there on that play. And looks like the Huskies are bringing out their punt team to punt this away, likely for the last time tonight.
One thing about the Wildcats, they're not showing their frustration by any means. They've remained pretty disciplined out there.
Yeah, it has been pretty good. You mean, there's been a few mistakes here and there, a couple flags coming both sides of the ball, but considering the situation in the game, they have done a great job.
Short kick down to the 40-yard line. There'll be a 15-yard no yards penalty, and probably a roughing call too, as Isaiah Brown was quite literally thrown to the ground. We've got one flag out there for sure.
Flags down on the play.
They're really, well, things are starting to fall apart a little bit now, but there was really no need for that.
Oh, definitely not. And a little surprised. I'm not sure if there was a flag. They're definitely in a meeting to find out if that is going to draw another 15 yards over and above the no yards there.
1:53 to go. Wildcats anxious to get out over the ball, but there's still a conference going on with the officials. Let's get the call. All right, the official's microphone has gone on the fritz, and they are going to make a roughing call.
2 infractions on the play, no yards, 15 yards
against the Huskies, so that'll move the football down into Husky territory at the 39-yard line. So a break for the Wildcats with under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, it gives them a chance to take a couple shots, a couple more reps for the young quarterback to see if he can take 2 or 3 plays and get into the end zone.
Olsen hands it off, right side. Nice job of running by number 23, Isaiah Brown.
Another flag coming out. So again, those emotions really coming out now on both sides of the ball. You know, still a rivalry game, game's out of hand, but it's definitely an emotional one for both these teams.
Kiefer Moak, the ball carrier. Gain of about 9, it'll be second. And now we're going to move the ball back. Another 10 yards, 15 yards, a UR.
9.7 seconds remaining.
Looks like we have a timeout for the Huskies, and so now it's going to give Cats a little bit of time to think about their next offensive play with only 9.7 seconds left in this game.
So the Edmonton Huskies have clinched a playoff berth, which is great news for this team. I think it's the earliest they've clinched a playoff berth in a number of years, probably since their championship season back in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, and you know, it's a little bit maybe of a changing of the tide here in the Prairie Football Conference. You know, the Huskies have climbed up, and obviously they've got some depth. We've seen that tonight that they're going to hopefully continue. And, you know, the year's looking up for them. They do have a couple real tough challenges coming up, and that's going to be a real measuring stick to where they're going to land looking into the playoffs in a few weeks.
Well, and you're right. There is a bit of a changing of the guard, I think, going on here in the PFC. Calgary, who looked so strong last year and went all the way to the league final, not doing well at all this season. The Huskies, on the other hand, finishing with a 6-3 record. They're a perfect 5-0 at this point in the season, and they've clinched a playoff berth already with 3 games left.
Yeah, and they've got to be excited about the continual progress they're seeing from their players, from their coaches, and the organization as a whole.
Olsen once again looking way downfield over the head of the receiver and almost into the hands of one of the defenders down there, number 39, Dwight Francis. And
didn't look like the receiver was actually expecting that. That's what I would expect as a receiver, is to throw deep and, at this point in time, take a shot. Nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, the receiver didn't seem like he was going very hard at all. I mean, there was 2 guys down there, but he just wasn't getting downfield and got overthrown. We'll see if he takes another shot here, try to get a first down. Likely the last play, you never know.
4.9 seconds to go. There's the little hitch pass out to this side, and taken down over the 40-yard line was number 33 once again, and that's Matt Heinrichs, and that is going to be the football game. And as I say, the Edmonton Huskies have clinched a playoff berth with this 40-7 victory over the Edmonton Wildcats.
Well, a little choice to give your fullback a little bit of love there in the flat and let him go run somebody over. Probably a small win, but a win nonetheless for the fullback as they finished out this 2-game series against a very tough and very talented Husky team.
And another night of frustration for the Edmonton Wildcats. They just cannot get things going, particularly on offense. And as we progressed throughout this game, you kept coming up with the idea that they've got 3 quarterbacks out there, and they really don't have a number 1 starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I think again, add this loss to the Wildcats' numbers, and they're really in a position where they need to commit to a young guy.
Yeah.
And you hate to do that to a 5-year vet, but it's time to look for the future. This year is almost in the books. They're going to have a couple big games with next week's special game against Hamilton, and they're going to want to do the best they can and really start to set the tone for moving forward. But at some point, you got to move on, and you got to get the reps for the young guys, and whether that's the backs. And I think they need to look hard at the needs of the teams moving forward to next year, and really looking at the O-line and the D-line. The defensive line, I think with a couple of the changes we saw tonight, and they're moving some guys around, they're making some progress. But really all night we didn't see a lot of holes for the running backs, and we didn't see a lot of time for the quarterbacks. The only time they really had at the quarterback position is when he was rolling out and moving the pocket. And so they're going to have to shore up the O-line. I think they're going to go back to work and work really hard this week, getting prepared for the big game next week.
All right, that big game will be on ICU video as well, and it will feature the visiting Hamilton Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, again, taking on the Prairie Football Conference teams, and again, I tell you, it's been a tough go for them this season, but they are one of the top teams in the Ontario Football Conference, so we'll see how they fare against one of the lower-ranked teams in the Prairie Football Conference.
Well, and with these games, you're going to start to see that, what does it look like? What does Ontario look like compared to the conference out here, and where do they stand in relative to all the teams out here? So.
And that game will be brought to you, as I mentioned, on YouTube by ICU Video. We'll be all here, the whole crew, to bring you that football game. Hopefully, there'll be a little bit warmer weather for the visiting Easterners, but who knows? It could be anything here in Edmonton. We've had a strange and interesting summer as far as the weather goes. We're waiting for the winning coach of the Edmonton Huskies, Ian McLean, to take the field with Kevin Donnan down there, and he's got to be pretty happy about the fact that he not only is the coach of the number 1 ranked team in the entire nation, but he has also clinched a playoff berth for the upcoming playoffs. And who knows, we may very well get a playoff game right here at Clarke Park this season, and it's been a long time since that's happened.
That would be exciting, and you know, with that interview coming up here with Ian, he's going to be, you know, he's going to be happy he won, he got the job done, but there's definitely even tonight a lot of things that he's going to want to see his players fix.
All right, let's go downstairs, and here is Kevin. Oh, I thought we would be going downstairs to see Kevin with Ian, but I guess not at this point anyway.
I think Ian's probably playing hide and seek with Ken. Won't let him track him down.
Just going to grab our player here, Gaetano Minto. Bring it. You're doing great. First of all, congratulations on the win. The Battle of Edmonton, you took round 2. First half, things didn't go exactly according to plan, but in the second half, what were you able to do?
Well, like you said, in the first half, I felt like we just came out a little slow. Then second half, we hit our groove. We started running with it as a team. We just put I don't even know how to put it in words. We just put we carried each other. The second half, we carried each other. And that's when, the truth about the Huskies came out. It's that brotherhood that we all preach. We preach family. And that was the best part because we were all picking each other up. And it was great. It was lovely to see. I don't even know how to put it in words. We came out with W. It was awesome. Everyone on the field put in 110%, and we rolled and got the W.
And now you're past the halfway point. You've earned a playoff berth tonight, but you've got a couple of big games coming up against Regina and Saskatoon.
Oh, 100%. Those teams you got to mentally and physically prepare for. Regina comes out with Sawyer. He's been averaging 320 in the air. He's good. So you got to come these games, iron everything else. So when you play those top teams with Regina and Tune, that's when you got to be crisp. You have no mental mistakes, no bust, nothing like that. So in this game, I think it really showed in the second half on what we can do and how we come together. So that's going to be a huge part in when we play those top teams.
And they say defense wins championships, and right now you've got a heck of a defense.
Oh, our boys are balling out right now. Lord have mercy. We feeling it. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the playoff berth, and good luck the rest of the way, Gaetano.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Let's bring in the head coach. Well, Ian? Yeah, how do you follow something like that?
Hey, it is what it is. I've never been able to be that enthusiastic, so he's playing well, so that's good.
I mean, tonight, like we said, the first half, not everything goes according to plan, but I think you could describe that second half in terms of your football club as being very efficient.
Efficient, physical, but I mean, I look at the stats, but I bet you we have more yards and penalties than they do on offense, and that's something that we can't do. That's not how you can be successful in the long term. So we got to clean that up. We got to make sure we're still working on fundamentals and being fundamentally sound on both sides of the ball, and get ready for Regina next week.
But you're also in the playoffs, and this is as Dave Rozak mentioned during the broadcast, this is one of the earliest times that a Huskies team has ever clinched, but there's a lot of work left to do, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to enjoy this one tonight, and then we got to get ready starting on Monday. We got to be ready for Regina coming up here next Sunday.
And that's a tough ball club. I mean, they're a bit of a giant killer too. They knocked off Saskatoon. You've got a tough one. So what are you focusing on this week in terms of your preparation?
We can't shoot ourselves in the foot. I mean, we left a lot of points up there, like we have been saying all year. We got to make sure we're capitalizing on those. Missed field goals, bad snaps, penalties taking away drives, penalties taking away kickoff returns for touchdowns. We just got to clean that stuff up. I tell the guys, the worst team that can beat you is yourself. And if you beat yourself, I mean, you can't play two teams out there. So we got to make sure we're taking care of that and just really focus on discipline.
And Rob Harrod mentioned during the broadcast as well, it was a beneficial win for your team in that you were able to go down the depth chart a little bit. 4 quarterbacks, you were able to get a lot of your depth guys in there. What does that mean as a head coach to be able to give those guys some reps?
It was good. I mean, to see Ben throw a touchdown pass to Keaton, seeing 2 first-years do that. I mean, we got everybody in. So our first-years played a lot. We have first-year guys starting. We have first-year guys rolling in. And they have to get ready. They have to be known if their time to get called on. They need to be ready to go play. So I'm really proud of them.
Well, you're past the halfway point. You've swept the Battle of Edmonton. But now the real season begins, doesn't it?
1 week at a time. We got Regina next.
Okay, sounds great. The rest of the way, Coach. And let's send things back upstairs to Dave and Rob for some final words. Guys?
One game at a time, and that's all that Ian usually talks about is one game at a time. And the one game coming up is going to be against Regina. They've got Saskatoon a little bit later on in the season, so their season, I really think, is just beginning. If they can continue to play the way they have been, it's going to be a great year for the Edmonton Huskies.
It is, and like Ian said, you know what? They do have some things to clean up.
Yeah.
They did not outgain them with penalties versus the Wildcats. They had 165 yards in penalties. The Wildcats offense did have 3 more yards in 168 net yards. But if you look at penalties on both sides, there's over 300 yards in penalties tonight.
Yeah.
And again, both coaches are going to want to clean that up. And if Ian wants to make a run and make a deep run, he definitely cannot afford to give up that kind of penalty yardage against some of the good teams he's got over the next couple of weeks.
Especially when you look at some of the penalties coming in clusters, like 2 or 3 penalties on the same play, costing 45 yards in some cases.
Yeah, this has happened 2 or 3 times to the Huskies, and that's definitely something that he's going to address and he's going to clean up before next week's competition.
Well, it was a 40-7 score, and the statistics pretty much bear that out. 504 yards in total offense for the Edmonton Huskies. That's almost unheard of in junior football.
Yeah, they just kept rolling. They didn't make mistakes. I mean, there was the odd little turnover. I mean, special teams had a tough time tonight in a couple of different areas on both sides of the ball, but they just kept coming out playing, kept slinging it, and they moved the ball. I mean, there were some big plays. There was a number of big plays, over 20, 30 yards for the Huskies, and the Wildcats really never had any of those. You know, when they did put the drive together, it was penalty aided, which is part of the game, and they've got to play within the boundaries, but the reality is the penalties gave them their big plays, and that was about it. And so they're going to have to really stretch the field out, and they're going to have to, you know, hey, you got to make some plays out there. And the receivers are going to go have to make plays, and they're going to have to help the quarterback out.
Let's not belabor the fact it's the Huskies now have clinched a playoff berth. The Wildcats still looking for their first win since the beginning of the 2015 season. So I think that's something like 16 games in a row now that they've lost. They take on the Hamilton Hurricanes next week. I really honestly believe, and I agree with Darcy Park, one win, and it could really make a huge difference in this team.
Well, they've got to start with one. And you know what? Whether it's against the #1 ranked team in the country or whether it's against the Hamilton Hurricanes next week, they're going to look at the film. They're going to assess the film. They're going to learn from it. They're going to have every player watch it and learn from it. And then they're going to get ready for next week. I mean, win or lose, you got to keep moving on, and that's how you become a better football team.
Well, that's it from up here in the press box, and it's been a 40-7 victory for the Huskies over the Wildcats. And let's go downstairs, and here is Kevin to wrap things up.
Well, thanks so much, Dave, and that concludes our Procast coverage of Week 6 here in the Prairie Football Conference. And on behalf of executive producer Rob Zitla, we'd like to thank our entire broadcast crew, the hardest working crew in cyberspace, technical advisor and camera Dave Foley, our director Connor O'Donovan, our switcher Alex Testowich, and on camera Matt Mosewich and Terry Farina. Of course, coming up next week in the PFC, we will have a special ICU video doubleheader Saturday night, September 23rd at 7 p.m. right here at Clarke Park. It's the 40th anniversary celebration of the Edmonton Wildcats national title team. The 1977 team will be gathering together to take on the Hamilton Hurricanes. Of course, the 2017 Wildcats will be taking on the Hurricanes here at Clarke Park. And on Sunday afternoon, on the 24th at 1 p.m., we'll have the Edmonton Huskies playing host to the Regina Thunder. So if you can't make it down to Clarke Park for either one of those games, make sure you stay right here with ICU Video and our Procast coverage of PFC football. Thank you for joining us here on ICU Video. I'm Kevin Don, and it's been a pleasure to bring this game to you tonight from Clarke Park. The final score, the Edmonton Huskies 40, the Edmonton Wildcats 7. Good night from Clarke Park in Edmonton.